Imagine waking up as the most wanted criminal in a magical world, but instead of being a badass villainess, you're just a tiny, fluffy white ferret. Our story begins with a chaotic chase as voices scream through the void, "Gosh, she's eating off the earth spirit, hurry, stop her." Our poor heroine is plummeting through the stars, realizing she's stolen something precious. She crashes right into the heart of a glowing pink lotus, her mind spinning as she wonders, where am I and what on earth is an earth spirit? In a grand palace, servants are trembling in fear. I dare not walk in, a terrified man stammers while holding a birdcage. His companion snaps, "You lost the earth spirit, how do you have the guts to see his royal highness?" Inside the room, we meet the man of our dreams and our heroine's nightmares. He has long, icy silver hair and eyes that could freeze the sun. As he lifts the cover of the cage, our little nugget finally wakes up. She stretches her tiny paws, thinking she's had the best nap of her life. But then she freezes. Standing before her is a literal god of a man, dripping wet and absolutely shredded. He's just finished bathing, and our girl is losing her mind. He looks at her with a smirk and asks, "Does it look good?" Our heroine, being a total vibe, gets heart eyes and screams, "Meow, yes, what a hottie, hug me." But the romance ends fast. His gaze turns lethal as he growls, "You ate my earth spirit and drooled over me. Kill it and use it to refine my drug." He hands her over to a servant who looks like he walked out of a horror movie. The servant pulls out a massive cleaver, and our girl realizes she's about to become ferret soup. "Now that you wanna kill me, take this." She thinks and lunges forward, sinking her teeth right into the prince's chest. She makes a run for it, squealing, how thrilling it is to bite him and run away. Behind her, the prince is radiating a murderous soul. He orders a full-scale manhunt, and our heroine sees visions of herself being fried, scalded, and steamed. Desperate, she bumps into a new area. This is the courtyard of Madame Duo, a neglected concubine. Inside, the maids are whispering about a charm potion. Madame Duo is busy drugging a bottle of wine, plotting, "He will be mine tonight." Our ferret heroine sees an opportunity for chaos and yells, "Watch out." She barrels into the room, shattering the wine bottle, and landing right on Madame Duo's chest. The woman screams, "You ruined my charm potion and the makeup I wore for his royal highness." She grabs our girl by the throat, but our heroine isn't a victim. She bites the lady's hand and watches as the madam takes out her rage by slapping her own maid. "Come and have a try if you dare," the ferret taunts. She uses her fluffy tail to deliver a savage slap right back to Madame Duo's face. The madam is floored, screeching, "How dare you slap me?" Our girl just laughs, "I even bit your master, let alone you." Suddenly, the guards shout, "His Royal Highness is coming." The ferret panics, realizing the wildlife foodie is back for his snack. The prince kicks the door open and immediately snatches our girl up, whispering, "Got you." In that moment, a vision of her true human form flickers, but she's still stuck in fur. Madame Duo tries to play the victim, shedding her clothes to look seductive. She's practiced this 1,000 times in her head, but our ferret is just judging her from behind a screen. When Duo pounces on the prince, he dodges her like a pro, snapping, "Who are you? Having that face, how dare you hit on me?" Duo face splints into the floor, and our girl can't help but lose it, rolling around laughing. The prince hears her and commands, "Come out or I'll catch you with my own hands." He grabs the ferret, and Madame Duo, seething with jealousy, warns him that the beast is dangerous. Duo tries one last time to get him to drink the good wine, but our girl isn't having it. She launches herself like a fluffy missile, knocking the wine out of Duo's hand. But there's a problem, she accidentally licks the spilled wine. It's sweet, and wait, she added the filter to it. Suddenly, our girl starts feeling very hot and very limp. The prince picks her up, noticing her blushing face. Slightly hot breaths, "What have you added to the wine?" he demands. Madame Duo denies everything, but the prince has had enough. Guards drag her out and kick her out of my mansion. Duo is hauled away, screaming for mercy. She's thrown into the streets, where creepy men start closing in on her. She trembles, swearing revenge on the beast that ruined her life. Back in the palace, the prince looks at his drugged lip. Our girl is currently rolling around, enjoying the feel of his cool hands. "Having eaten my earth spirit, you can't even resist the filter, so weak," he sighs. Our girl thinks it's a pity this hottie isn't dumb. But then he reaches for her belly. She jumps back, her tiny heart racing. He leans in close, his golden eyes glowing. "You coveted and offended me many times," he whispers. "Just because you're drugged." Our heroine can only scream in her head, "J*RK, what are you gonna do to me? Poor me." The mysterious blindfolded man towers over our girl, looking like a total snack but acting like a complete psycho. Our heroine is currently stuck in her cub form, and things are looking grim because she's literally tied up and at his mercy. "Do you think I will easily get over with that you ran away after molesting me many times?" He purrs, brandishing a very sharp-looking knife. He's not playing around, claiming that no one can defy him. He pins her fluffy tail down with the blade, and our poor girl is absolutely terrified, chatterbarking that she'll do anything if he just spares her life. He mocks her for having no sense of shame, explaining that he won't kill her yet because he needs to absorb her earth spirit, but she still needs to pay for her crimes. His idea of a punishment, giving her a full-body shape. Our girl is losing her mind, wondering if this guy is actually going to check her gender while he's at it. She screams in protest, but the fur starts flying everywhere. "So will you run again?" he asks with a cold smirk. Our girl is fuming, calling him a total pervert in her head. He demands an apology while she whimpers in defeat. He warns her that if she doesn't behave, the next gift he gives her won't just be a haircut. She's absolutely livid, swearing that one day she'll get her revenge and shave him bald. To make matters worse, he confirms she's a female cub, leaving our girl blushing with pure embarrassment. He realizes she can actually understand human feelings and decides to keep her around for observation instead of offing her. As she drifts into a stressed-out sleep, a magical glow surrounds her. He places a mystical bell around her neck, whispering that with this soul-trap bell, she can never escape him again. A knock at the door interrupts his brooding. A subordinate enters to invite the prince to a royal banquet, but he nearly has a heart attack when he sees the legendary soul-trap bell being used as a pet collar. This is an item the prince wouldn't even give to the emperor, yet here it is on a fur ball. The prince heads out, leaving our girl to sob in her sleep. Our girl wakes up screaming and realizes she's human again. She's shocked by her new assets, but she doesn't have time to admire herself because a blue spirit voice calls out to her. She thinks it's a ghost, but it's actually a manifestation of the blindfolded man named Shu. She finds him dangerously handsome, but she's still suspicious. Shu drops a bombshell. Her dream was a memory. Her 8 tails were actually cut off, and if she doesn't find them within a year, she's going to die. Our girl is in total denial, pointing out she was just born, so how could she be dying? Shu explains he can only communicate with her, and that finding those tails is the only way to save her life. She breaks down crying, wishing she could just be a normal pampered pet instead of a doomed fox spirit. Her tantrum is cut short when she hears footsteps. Crap, Feng Yu is back, she panics. She dives under the covers, terrified of how she'll explain her sudden humanity to the man who just shaved her. The prince enters and immediately senses an intruder, drawing his sword and threatening to kill whoever is hiding. He doesn't hesitate, swinging his blade right at the bed. He slashes through the silks, looking ready to end a life. In a flash of spiritual energy, our girl manages to transform back into a cub, just in time to avoid being skewered. Shu appears as a little blue orb, explaining that she only became human because she absorbed his leaking spiritual kai, but now that it's gone, she's back to being a fluff ball. He tells her he has to go back to sleep to recover, leaving her alone with the scary prince. The prince picks her up by the scruff, calling her weak-kneed. He tries to hand her off to a servant, and our girl thinks this is her big chance to bolt. She leaps for freedom, but the prince has godlike reflexes and snatches her out of the air. She ends up clinging to his chest for dear life. He asks if she wants to go to the banquet with him, and she nods like her life depends on it. He tries to say no, but she bites him until he finally gives in. They arrive at the royal palace, and our girl is tucked safely into his robes, calling him a total tsundere. The banquet is in full swing, and the ladies are all whispering about how hot the prince is. The emperor welcomes them, and the prince presents a stunning blue glazed vase as a gift. The emperor is thrilled, but our girl sees this as the ultimate moment for payback. She launches herself out of his robes like a furry missile, aiming straight for the vase. It shatters into 1,000 pieces right in front of the emperor. The emperor goes nuclear, ordering the guards to catch the beast and chop it into bits. A guard lunges for her, but she's too quick. She ends up pulling his pants down in front of the entire court. The whole room erupts in laughter as the guard tries to cover his shame. Our girl is feeling like a total boss as she causes absolute chaos in the hall. She spots a window, but it's way too high for her to reach. Suddenly, a mysterious dark-haired man watching from the shadows decides to help. With a flick of his power, he launches her right through the window to freedom. She sticks her tongue out at the palace, thinking she's finally won. But back inside, Feng Yu is radiating pure murderous intent. He apologizes to the emperor, who tells him he needs to learn how to tame his pets better. While the guards search the palace, that mysterious man from the shadows just smiles. He's found something interesting, a glowing golden orb that looks suspiciously like one of our girl's missing tails. She's having a great time imagining him behind bars until some annoying chatter ruins her mood. She follows the noise to find a group of royal brats being absolute menaces. The princess of Tianlin is leading the pack, bullying a young boy and demanding he play with her like he's some kind of toy. She mocks him for being dumb and low-bred despite them having the same father. Our heroine tries to tell herself it's none of her business, but these kids are taking it way too far. The princess calls the boy effeminate and orders her goons to strip him right there in the dirt to check if he's a girl. The poor kid is crying out for help, and that's when our girl's inner justice warrior takes over. She peeks out from the bushes, her eyes glowing with pure rage. She launches herself like a furry missile, catching the bullies completely off guard. "Take that," she seems to scream as she lands a solid punch right on one girl's face. She's a whirlwind of scratches and kicks, tearing through their expensive silks like they're nothing. She turns her sights on the lead brat, and the princess's smug face quickly turns to pure terror. Our girl sinks her teeth into the princess's arm, thinking, "If I knew you were this annoying, I would have bitten you harder." She kicks the princess away, deciding these ill-bred kids finally got the lesson they deserved. But the victory is short-lived as the palace guards swarm in and the boy begs her to run. A servant grabs the boy by his hair and slams him down, while arrows start raining down on our girl. She dodges them with ease until a massive magical net drops out of nowhere. She's trapped. The Emperor and Empress arrive, looking like they're ready to execute everyone on the spot. The bratty princess lies through her teeth, blaming the boy Feng Yu for the attack. The Emperor doesn't even hesitate. He orders Feng Yu to be stripped of his title and flogged 50 times, and as for our girl, flog it to death, he bellows. Feng Yu rushes forward, using his own body to shield our girl from the guard's heavy wooden planks. The sound of the blows is sickening as blood starts to soak through his robes. Our girl is heartbroken, chirping in agony as she watches this innocent kid take a beating meant for her. She screams for Feng Jumu to help, and suddenly the air explodes with a chilling blue light. The man of the hour has arrived, looking absolutely lethal. He picks up our girl, ignoring the royal couple entirely as he glares at her. Just in such a short time, you stirred up trouble again, he sighs. The Empress tries to demand he hand over the beast for punishment, playing the victim like a pro. But Feng Jiumu isn't buying what she's selling. He strokes our girl's fur and coolly suggests that since Prince Yu is old enough for school, they should just send him away instead of killing him. Watching from the shadows is a mysterious red-haired man who seems way too amused by all this drama. Back at the mansion, Feng Jiumu has our girl suspended in a light trap, mocking her for cursing him in her head. She's shocked. Can this man seriously read her mind? She was just calling him a pervert and a jerk. Suddenly, Feng Jiumu staggers and vomits blood, his face pale. Our girl panics, wondering if her curses actually worked. She's tossed into a cage made of black iron that's impossible to break. A cold-hearted physician tells her to stop wasting her time because as soon as the sun sets, she's being cooked into a soup to cure the prince. It turns out Feng Jiumu is suffering from eye soul poison, and it's reaching a breaking point. One of his loyal servants draws a sword, ready to end our girl right now to save his master. But Feng Jiumu stops him, gasping that killing her now would make the antidote less effective. He orders the servant to take him to the fire lotus pool and leave the fox locked up for later. Our girl knows she has to move fast or she's dinner. She calls out to her spirit companion Shu to wake up and help. When the physician returns to grab her, the cage is empty. Our girl is already on the roof, realizing she's somehow teleported. Shu explains he used the last of his power to get her out, and now she's on her own. She takes a literal leap of faith off the high walls, screaming, "I'm coming, free world." But she doesn't hit the ground. She's caught midair by that same red-haired flirt from earlier. "A baby just throws itself on me," he smirks, looking way too pleased with himself. He offers to take her home, but our girl senses a dangerous vibe behind that handsome smile. He even has the audacity to kiss her on the head and tell her to hold on tight. He takes off at supernatural speeds, leaping through the trees toward his fairy sect. They arrive at a stunning, massive red temple that looks like a literal paradise. Our girl is momentarily dazed by the beauty of the place, but the illusion is shattered quickly. This guy claims his power rivals Prince Mu's, but the people here are just as cruel as the ones in the palace. They watch as a group of girls brutally kick a poor woman who's begging to join the sect for protection. The red-haired man, who turns out to be the chief, doesn't lift a finger. He looks down at the bleeding girl and coldly tells her she's too plain and untalented to be in his presence. Our heroine realizes this wonderland is just another nightmare disguised in gold. Meanwhile, back at the palace, Feng Jiumu's servants are whispering about how he's been doting on his pet way too much lately. He just raises an eyebrow, completely unbothered by the gossip. Just when things look their bleakest, a tiny white fox leaps into the fray, snarling, "Who dares to hurt her?" The bullies are stunned, while the red-haired chief watches from the sidelines with a bored expression. He smirks, deciding to see just what this little beast is capable of. The girls try to drive the creature away, but our little protector isn't budging. As the fox growls, our poor heroine realizes that for the first time in this cruel world, someone is actually standing up for her. The fox is a total menace, dodging attacks with a whoosh and sending the bullies crashing into flower pots. The girls scream in terror, realizing they've messed with a fierce beast. "Catch it," they yell, but the fox is way too fast. It stands its ground, shielding the girl from their grasping hands. When they try to overwhelm her, the fox unleashes a massive burst of spiritual energy, blowing the entire group away. Even the chief looks impressed by the sudden display of power. In the blink of an eye, the fox vanishes, only to reappear high up on the roof. With a mighty howl, it sends another shockwave down, forcing the bullies to cover their heads in fear. The fox then turns its sights on the chief, leaping straight for his throat. He narrowly dodges the furry missile, but the fox is relentless until it accidentally slams headfirst into a stone pillar. The impact is so hard, the entire structure collapses into a pile of rubble. Completely exhausted, the little fox collapses and the chief moves in to scoop it up. "You surprise me again," he says, but our heroine crawls forward, begging, "Chief, please, don't hurt it." He looks down at her with pure disdain, mocking her lack of status and power. "Now that my baby cares about you, you can stay here," he declares, essentially treating her like a pet for his pet. Later, the chief lounges on his throne with the fox in his lap. Inside the fox's mind, our girl is freaking out, asking her spirit guide, Shu, why she lost control. Shu explains that her connection to her missing tail gave her a temporary power boost, but she's still too weak to handle it. Back in the real world, the fox tries to play it cool by ignoring the chief and stuffing its face with apples. The chief isn't used to being ignored and threatens to kill our heroine if the fox doesn't behave. "Threaten me," the fox thinks before immediately spitting tea all over his expensive clothes. The maids are terrified, certain the cub is doomed, but the chief just smirks. "You messed it up, you clean it up," he purrs. For those wondering how the fox still has fur after its previous shaving incident, the narrator explains that regaining power causes it to grow back instantly. Don't think too hard about it. The chief decides it's time for a bath and tosses the protesting fox into the water with a plop. After the bath, the chief starts petting her, and the fox almost forgets she's on a mission because it feels so good. "No, sober up," she tells herself, remembering she needs to find the girl. She manages to sneak away and finds our heroine's room. Thinking it's another assassin, the girl grabs a stick and prepares to swing, screaming, "Go to hell." The fox barely avoids getting brained, letting out a terrified howl. "It's you," the girl gasps, dropping her weapon when she realizes it's her tiny savior. She pulls the fox into a tight hug, apologizing for almost hurting it. The fox finally speaks up, and the girl nearly jumps out of her skin. "Are you talking?" she stammers, completely bewildered. The fox is just relieved to finally have someone to communicate with. Shu appears in the spirit realm to remind our girl that her tail is hidden inside this girl as a mark, and she can only get it back if the girl fully trusts her. The girl thanks the fox again for the rescue, and the fox asks why she's even at the fairy sect if she's so injured. Tears fill the girl's eyes as she reveals her tragic past. She's from the Chu family, but villains framed her mother and killed her. Her nanny sacrificed herself so she could escape the assassins. Now she's joined the sect to gain enough power to get revenge. "Don't cry," the fox comforts her, realizing that helping this girl get her vengeance is the fastest way to get her tail back. "Let me help you get even with them," the fox declares. The girl is hesitant since they barely know each other, but she's desperate enough to pay any price. She promises to look after the fox forever if it helps her kill her enemies. They decide to sneak out, but first, the fox needs a disguise. After a quick transformation, they are ready to go. They think they are being sneaky as they head out under the moonlight. But they've forgotten one thing: the chief is always watching. High on the roof, he smirks and orders his men to follow them in secret. "How many secrets do you bear?" he muses, watching the glowing butterflies flutter around him as the hunt begins. The next day, our girl Chu Jin arrives at the gates of the Chu mansion, the very place that used to be her home. Memories of the night her world burned down come flooding back, reminding her of the nanny who sacrificed everything so she could escape. Watching her home consumed by flames was a nightmare she'll never forget. Even now, looking at the gates feels like staring into the mouth of hell. But Jin isn't a victim anymore. "Even if it's a real hell, I'll walk right in to take revenge for my mother and nanny," she declares, her eyes burning with resolve. As she steps inside, a guard immediately blocks her path. "Stop, who are you to break into the mansion?" he barks. Jin doesn't even blink. "I'm Chu Jin and I live here," she says coldly. "Is there a problem with me coming home?" The guard is absolutely floored, wondering how the once pitiful Lady Jin became so aggressive. Suddenly, the sound of a high-pitched voice cuts through the air. It's Chu Wanduo, and she looks like she's seen a ghost. "Chu Jin?" she gasps, her mind racing with fury that the assassins her mother sent didn't finish the job. She puts on her best indignant lady act, screaming, "How dare you come back?" But Jin is done playing nice. She leans in and whispers the ultimate truth. "Even if my mother is gone, your mother will always just be a concubine who worked in a brothel." She tops it off with a smirk, calling Wanduo the low-bred daughter of a concubine. Wanduo loses it and swings for a slap, but our girl's secret weapon is faster. Shui the cat launches through the air like a furry missile. She lands a solid punch right on Wanduo's face, sending her reeling. "Jin is my friend, how dare you try to hurt her?" the cat hisses. Wanduo hits the dirt, clutching her face and screaming for the guards to kill them both. The guards close in with staves, but Jin isn't about to get captured. She tells Shui to get to safety, but she's got a plan of her own. As a guard swings, Jin ducks and dives straight for the source of the problem. She tackles Wanduo to the ground, pinning her down. "Let go of me," Wanduo shrieks, but Jin's grip is like iron. Jin pulls out a sharp hairpin and presses it against Wanduo's throat. "Stand up and walk with me," she commands, using the brat as a human shield to back the guards off. They're almost clear when a shadow looms over them. It's Jin's father, and the look on his face is anything but welcoming. "Father, help, Chu Jin has gone insane," Wanduo wails. When Shui tries to protect Jin, the heartless father delivers a brutal kick, sending the poor cat flying. He looks at Jin with pure disgust, accusing her mother of cheating and calling Jin a disgrace for staying out with men. While Wanduo smirks in the background, he orders the guards to throw Jin and the beast into the firewood warehouse. Locked away in the dark, Jin cradles a motionless Shui, sobbing as she begs God not to take her only friend away. "I'll give you everything I have, just save her," she cries before collapsing from exhaustion. In the middle of the night, a magical glow surrounds the cat. Shui wakes up to find Jin burning up with a lethal fever. Knowing she has to act fast, the cat realizes there's only one person who can help, Prince Mu. Shui leaps out the window, racing toward the prince's mansion. Meanwhile, at the prince's camp, an eagle delivers a dire message. The cub has run away. Prince Mu, who is in the middle of a medicinal bath to treat a deadly poison, doesn't hesitate. He ignores his subordinates' warnings and teleports away to find his pet. Shui makes it to the prince's bedroom but accidentally trips an alarm, sending the maids into a panic. She needs a token to prove she's from the prince's household so she can scare the Chu family into helping Jin. In the chaos, she grabs the first thing she sees, a pair of blue silk underpants with Mu embroidered on them. Suddenly, her body begins to glow. The transformation is complete and she's back in her human form. She jumps off the roof to escape the guards but lands right on a mysterious man in red. He's the chief of the fairy sect and he's looking for a cub too. Thinking fast, Shui screams, "Stay away, I'm Feng Jumu's wife." To prove it, she pulls out the love token, the prince's underwear. The chief is skeptical until a voice dripping with ice comes from behind them. "Why do you have my underwear?" Prince Mu has arrived and he is not amused. The chief tries to claim Shui as his runaway maid, but Mu isn't buying it. A massive magical battle erupts between the two powerhouses, with Mu using lightning to blast the chief back. Mu declares that since she broke into his mansion, she belongs to him. The chief tries to insult Shui's figure to get Mu to let her go, but that just earns him a face full of Mu's God of War palm technique. Defeated and sensing Mu is still incredibly powerful despite being poisoned, the chief retreats. With the threat gone, Mu's strength finally gives out. He stumbles, the poison ravaging his body because he cut his treatment short. Shui manages to haul him back to his room, which is a total disaster zone from her earlier scramble. She tries to leave to find a doctor, but Mu grabs her arm, his eyes glazed with pain. "Don't leave, I'm cold," he mutters, pulling her onto the bed and wrapping his arms around her. Our girl is struggling with everything she's got, screaming, "You let go of me." But the master isn't listening. He flips her over with a sudden, forceful move. He pins her down, their eyes meeting in a moment of pure, heart-pounding intensity. Just as things are about to get really spicy, the master's servant bursts into the room and completely freezes. "I saw nothing," he shrieks, slamming the door shut faster than he opened it. Outside, the guy is practically doing a victory dance, convinced the master has finally found a hostess to keep him busy. Back inside, our heroine is fuming, telling the master to get off because he's way too heavy. Suddenly, the master drifts into a strange vision, feeling a biting cold in a dark, watery void. He sees a mysterious figure that feels hauntingly familiar. "Who are you?" he whispers, reaching out to the warmth in the darkness. When morning comes, our girl wakes up feeling like she's being squeezed by a bear. She tries to sneak out while he's still asleep, but she realizes she hasn't found his status token yet. She starts imagining a future where she uses him like a puppet to terrify her enemies. She's feeling pretty smug about her master plan. But then she hears someone approaching and panics. Luckily, her spirit guide tells her she can transform, and she shifts back into her adorable white cub form just in time. "I'm more used to this," she thinks, striking a cute pose. The master wakes up and notices the poison in his body has been suppressed. That's when he finds the note she left behind. It tells him to find Chu Jin at the Chu mansion if he wants his cub back. His servant, still convinced they had a very hot night, knocks on the door with breakfast. When the servant enters and finds the lady gone, he's totally confused. The master doesn't explain a thing, simply ordering him to get dressed because they're heading to the Chu mansion immediately. Meanwhile, at the mansion, the real Chu Jin is locked away in a dusty firewood warehouse. Our girl in cub form finds her and tells her it's time to go. They try to make a break for it, but a couple of nasty thugs burst in. These goons have orders to skin the cub to make sleeves for the villainous sister, Wanyo. But they are about to learn a very painful lesson. Chu Jin tosses the cub at them, and our girl goes full beast mode. The goons are terrified when the animal starts talking to them. "Not showing you my power so you think I'm easy to deal with," she snarls. She uses her spirit powers to tie the thugs into a literal human knot. "I'm a fairy who teaches villains lessons," she declares while giving them a good slapping. Chu Jin is absolutely living for this, cheering on her little protector. Suddenly, the evil sister Wanryo shows up, complaining that the thugs are taking too long to catch a simple cub. Our girl doesn't wait for an invitation, she launches herself at the villainess. Wanryo screams for the guards, but Chu Jin quickly pins her to the ground. That's when the trash-tier father, Minister Chu, arrives and immediately starts playing favorites. Wanyo puts on a world-class performance, crying that Chu Jin tried to ruin her face and her future marriage to the prince. The father is furious, berating Chu Jin and even insulting her dead mother. Chu Jin stands her ground, calling out his disgusting favoritism. He raises his hand to strike her, but a booming voice stops him in his tracks. Prince Mu has arrived. Everyone drops to the ground in a panic. Wanyo, being the delusional snake she is, thinks the prince is there to rescue her. The prince arrives in a magnificent carriage, looking every bit the cold, powerful right. Wanyo fakes a dramatic fall right in front of him, hoping for some pity. But the prince's guard shuts her down instantly, telling the nobody to stay back. The prince ignores the drama and asks for Jin. He walks over and gently pets the cub in her arms. She likes you, he says with a rare soft smile. The father and Wanduo are shaking, realizing the daughter they just tried to abuse has the prince's full attention. Once they are finally alone, the prince drops the act. He looks the cub right in the eye, knowing exactly who she is. Our girl tries to play dumb with a tiny meow, but the prince just smirks, his eyes dark with mischief. Why don't you turn back into a human and explain yourself to me? He demands, leaving our girl totally busted. She struggles with all her might until a blinding light erupts from her tiny body. A silhouette begins to form as she finally transforms back into a human. But instead of the ravishing beauty she expected, she realizes she's been turned into a tiny, adorable kid. Where are my boobs and my long legs? She screams in total despair. Mu just smirks, explaining that since she only has 2 tails, she can't maintain her adult form yet. Our poor heroine collapses into a puddle of tears, feeling completely cheated by fate. Mu isn't moved by the waterworks at all, asking if he's supposed to go easy on her just because she's a brat now. She tries to use her new cuteness to her advantage, grabbing his robes with big puppy eyes and asking if he's really hard-hearted enough to beat her up. But this man is a literal demon, lifting her by the collar and threatening her with that glowing knife again. You locked me up and threatened me every single day, she cries out, pointing an accusing finger. He doesn't care about her grievances, reminding her that she ate his precious earth spirit. Whether you're a cub or a girl, you are mine, he declares with a possessive glint in his eye. She thinks his words are a bit too dirty for a kid's ears, but she quickly switches to survival mode to save her skin. Her inner spirit is shocked by how fast she folds, but our girl knows if she doesn't give in, she's toast. Anything, he asks with a wicked grin. She clings to his leg for dear life, shouting a desperate yes. He realizes that being near her suppresses his poison, so he's definitely not letting her go anytime soon. You can't leave me without my permission, he says, tilting her chin up. He then hauls her away like a sack of laundry while she wails about needing to find her tails. She tries to lie, claiming she's a 9-tailed fairy cub who needs to find her missing tails to survive. She thinks she's a genius for coming up with such a perfect excuse to escape. But the joke's on her because he decides they're staying at the mansion together. You'll live here, she gasps in horror. He just pokes her chubby cheek and tells her she has 3 days to behave. The servants are running around like headless chickens to prepare for the prince's stay. Everything has to be the highest quality, from the flowers to the furniture. Our girl is fuming, unable to believe he has the nerve to just move in and take over. A snobbish servant looks down on her, but the girl's father, Minister Chu, is nearly having a heart attack. He's shocked to see her, especially when Mu refers to her as an infanta. The tension in the room is thick as the prince stares the minister down. Suddenly, the kind-hearted Jin appears, looking like a literal angel. Shui runs straight into her arms, relieved to see a friendly face in this den of vipers. It's me, Pei Shui, she whispers, and Jin is stunned to see her little friend has turned into a child. The minister is already plotting, hoping to use Jin to secure a marriage with the prince. Meanwhile, the mean sister, Wanduo, is seething with jealousy in the background. She decides to play nice with the infanta just to get back into the prince's good graces. Wanduo approaches with a fake smile, offering a gift to win her over. But our girl isn't stupid. She points at all of Wanduo's expensive jewelry and says she wants it all. Wanduo looks like she's about to choke since those pieces are priceless. When Shui pretends to give up, Wanduo panics and hands them over, thinking it's a small price for the title of princess. Wanduo forces a smile while handing over the goods. But as soon as she gets them, Shui pushes them aside with a look of pure disgust. Her things are dirty, she says coldly, telling the servants to just take them away. Wanduo stands there, utterly humiliated as her priceless gifts are treated like trash. A servant tries to smooth things over, but Wanduo is shaking with rage. She vows to make them both pay for this embarrassment. Later, Shui and Jin are enjoying some snacks in the garden. Jin lovingly feeds her, but their peace is ruined by gossiping servants nearby. These lackeys are whispering nasty things about Jin's mother and her reputation. Shui is ready to throw hands, but Jin tells her to stay back. With a sudden whoosh, Jin moves faster than they can see. She delivers a series of satisfying slaps that send the servants spinning. Flog them 100 times and throw them out, she commands with the authority of a true noble. Wanduo arrives, trying to play the hero for the servants. She even has the audacity to insult Jin's mother to her face, bringing up old scandals to hurt her. Wanduo tries to strike, but Jin dodges effortlessly. Wanduo trips and falls, and her precious jade bracelet shatters on the ground. She immediately starts screaming, claiming the king gave it to her and that Jin broke it on purpose. The minister rushes over, and Wanduo puts on an Oscar-worthy performance of a victim. Her mother joins in, fanning the flames of his anger. The servants, terrified of Wanduo, all lie and say they saw Jin push her. The minister loses it, calling Jin vicious and ordering the guards to tie her up. But our girl steps in, telling him not to jump to conclusions lest he be proven wrong. Check the bracelet for an inscription, Shui demands. Wanduo thinks she's safe, but the guard reveals there's no marking on the broken pieces. That's when Shui pulls out the real inscribed bracelet. I found this in the garden this morning, she says with a smirk. The minister is furious at being lied to and demands an explanation from Wandio. One of the maids finally cracks and admits Wandio lost the real one and tried to frame Jin. The minister kicks Wandio to the ground, calling her a spoiled brat for playing such dirty tricks. Jin plays the part of the forgiving sister perfectly, making the minister feel even more guilty. He decides he needs to favor Jin more if she's going to marry the prince. He orders the concubine mother to the ancestral hole and has the lying servants flogged. They beg for mercy, but the minister is done with their games. Once they're alone, Jin drops the act and asks Wandio how it feels to face the consequences. Wandio realizes it was a trap all along. "If I didn't pretend to be tricked, how would you fall into my trap?" Jin whispers coldly. This is just the beginning of her revenge for her mother and her nanny. As they walk away, Wandio is left in the dirt, betrayed by her own people. But later that night, she receives a secret note promising help. "I will make you deeply regret what you did to me today," she hisses, her eyes glowing with malice. A subordinate reports that while he hasn't seen the cub in days, Prince Mu has officially moved into the Chu mansion. This red-haired leader isn't stupid, he knows something is up. Does this have to do with the cub? He wonders, his eyes narrowing with suspicion. He orders his men to keep a tight watch on the mansion before vanishing into the sky. He lands silently in the Chu family gardens. From the shadows, he watches the trio having a peaceful meal. His eyes lock onto our little Shui, and he realizes she looks incredibly familiar. Meanwhile, Prince Mu is being a total tease, holding a plate of treats just out of Shui's reach. "Beg me," he says with a smirk. Our girl isn't having it, she huffs and puffs, eventually deciding to just walk away in a fit of adorable rage. The intruder recognizes Chu Jin as the woman the cub protected before. He decides to corner her to get the truth. Prince Mu senses a presence and looks toward the trees, but the intruder is fast. He drops down right in front of Chu Jin, startling her. "Do you know where the cub is?" he demands, leaning in close. Poor Shui is shaking behind a tree, realizing the scary man is back for her. "Gosh, he's looking for me again, when will he stop?" she cries internally. Chu Jin tries to play it cool, lying straight to his face that she hasn't seen the creature since the incident. Shui knows she has to be careful, her secret is a ticking time bomb. The man isn't convinced and grabs Chu Jin, threatening her with a cold glare. He then spots the bell on Shui's neck and demands to know why she has the soul trap bell. Shui quickly lies, claiming it was a gift from her father, even though the man knows there's only one in the world. Suddenly, the toxic sister Wandio appears, being her usual bratty self to her maids. She spots Chu Jin with the red-haired stranger and her eyes light up with malice. She storms over, accusing Chu Jin of bringing a playboy into the mansion. She starts screaming for the guards, but the red-haired leader is deeply offended by the insult. With a swift movement, he knocks Wandio out cold. Hearing people approaching, the intruder realizes he can't stay. "I'll come back later," he whispers before disappearing into the trees. Chu Jin and Shui are left staring at the unconscious brat on the floor. "We should thank her for the interruption, honestly," Chu Jin says. They decide to just leave her there for a servant to find later. Of course, they don't get far before Chu Jin's father and the prince arrives. Shui puts on her best innocent face, claiming Wandio just passed out for no reason. When Wandio finally wakes up, she starts wailing immediately. Chu Jin was holding hands with a man right here, she screams, pointing at the empty space. Chu Jin just sighs, asking why her sister keeps trying to defame her. The sisters get into a heated argument, with Wandio crossing the line by insulting their mother. Their father is furious at the lack of decorum in front of the prince. He can tell Wandio is lying, but he's more worried about keeping the prince's favor. Just as things reach a breaking point, a servant announces the arrival of Chu Jin's fiancé, Song Kingju. The fiancé enters, looking like a typical noble, but he's trash in disguise. Wandio immediately clings to him, crying fake tears and claiming Chu Jin is bullying her. Without even asking for Chu Jin's side, this fiancé immediately scolds her. "How can you bully your sister?" he demands. Chu Jin is heartbroken by his lack of trust. Wandio gives her a smug, villainous smirk, whispering that the fiancé loves her more anyway. Shui is absolutely disgusted by this two-timer. Chu Jin finally snaps, reminding him that he is her fiancé. But the guy just hugs Wandio tighter, telling Chu Jin she's being unreasonable and needs to be more generous as the elder sister. He even has the audacity to say he's doing this for her own good. Shui has seen enough of this cliché drama. When the fiancé starts insulting Shui, calling her ill-bred, our girl decides it's time for some payback. She runs to Prince Mu crying, "Daddy, he's yelling at me." The prince's aura turns icy as he looks at the trash fiancé. "Noisy," he says, his voice dripping with authority. He tells the low-born man that his fate is now in Shui's hands. Shui doesn't hold back, ordering him to slap himself 100 times with all his strength. The fiancé has no choice but to start hitting himself while Chu Jin watches, finally feeling some justice. Later that night, Shui is still fuming about the two-timer fiancé and warns Chu Jin to stay away from him. But our girl has other things on her mind. She sneaks into Prince Mu's room, thinking he's asleep. Surprise, he's very much awake and very much shirtless. He corners her, asking about her relationship with the red-haired sect chief. Shui tries to play it off by acting cute, but the prince isn't falling for it. He pins her against him, his gaze intense. "Remember that, you are mine," he declares. As a punishment for making him jealous, he tells her she has to sleep on the floor tonight. Shui throws a tantrum, but eventually she passes out on the rug. As she sleeps, she starts mumbling, reaching out her hands. The prince softens, picking her up and tucking her into his bed. He watches her sleep with a complicated expression. When Shui wakes up the next morning and realizes she's snuggled up against his bare chest, she absolutely loses her mind. Our girl is trying her absolute best to be a ninja and sneak out while the prince is still in dreamland. She's literally holding her breath, praying he doesn't open those beautiful eyes. But of course, luck isn't on her side today. "What are you doing?" he asks, catching her red-handed. He's got that smug look on his face, teasing her about wanting to sneak away right after sleeping with him. Our heroine isn't having any of it and starts throwing hands, or at least a very angry fist. "Watch your mouth, I didn't sleep with you," she screams, reminding him that he'd be the one winning if they actually had. The prince's mood shifts instantly, casting a shadow that has her screaming for help and bolting for the door. She's moving so fast she's practically a purple blur. He just sits there watching his little runaway with a dangerous glint in his eye. "Oh, seems that this naughty girl is getting bolder," he muses to himself. Outside, our girl is panting for air, terrified by how intimidating that man can be. She's so distracted she ends up running smack into someone. It's Jin, and our girl immediately grabs her, begging to leave the area as fast as possible. Jin is totally lost, but before she can get an answer, the prince appears right behind them like a ghost. Our heroine nearly jumps out of her skin, hiding behind Jin's robes. She stammers out that she's just hanging out with Jin, not hiding, but the prince just coolly mentions he's heading out too. Little do they know, a spy is watching their every move from the rooftops. A crow flies off to report their departure to a mysterious master. Down in the city, the streets are absolutely packed because it's the flower festival. It's basically the ancient version of Valentine's Day, where girls give gifts to the guys they like. Our girl is just vibing with her snacks, thinking about how romantic it all sounds. Meanwhile, the prince is attracting a crowd of thirsty ladies who are ready to pounce. He's not in the mood for fans, though, and starts gathering a chilling aura to scare them off. The crowd is devastated to hear their charming gentleman is a married man with a kid, and they scatter instantly. As they continue their walk, Shui spots something suspicious. High up on a balcony, a man with long red hair is watching them with a sinister smile. He signals his goons below, and they get the message loud and clear. Suddenly, a man accidentally slams into Jin, causing a huge scene. In the chaos, someone yells "thief" to panic the crowd. Our girl gets caught in the human tide, getting pushed and shoved away from Jin. She reaches out a hand, desperately calling for Jin to hold her tight. She thinks she's being rescued, but when she looks up, she's in a secluded forest area. Her eyes go wide when she sees Chu Wanduo, the resident villainess, meeting up with a total jerk. Wanduo is whining about being made a fool of and wanting to give our girls something back as revenge. They're acting all lovey-dovey, and the guy even promises to buy her whatever she wants. Our girl is disgusted, whispering to herself about their barefaced affair, but then a voice right behind her agrees, "Indeed, shame on them." She spins around to find the red-haired man from the balcony looming over her. She's terrified, but he just plays it off like she was the one dragging him there. She tries to play the innocent child card, saying her papa told her not to talk to strangers before trying to bolt. He catches her by the collar easily, laughing that she's much cuter than he expected. He claims to be the prince's friend, but our girl isn't buying his wonderful surprise for a second. She even tries to throw a punch, but he just laughs off her tiny attacks. She screams for an abductor, and suddenly a massive wave of energy slashes through the air. The prince has arrived, and he looks absolutely livid. He draws his power, demanding that the man let her go. Our girl immediately clings to her dad for dear life. The red-haired guy Kingju isn't backing down, his eyes narrowing as he looks at the prince. The prince pulls our girl close, signaling that the playtime is over. Kingju thinks to himself that since the prince cares so much for her, he's definitely going to steal her away. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife as a dragon and tiger aura clash in the middle of the street. Our girl realizes that if they fight here, innocent people are going to get hurt. She points at Kingju and screams, "Help, he's an abductor." Suddenly, a group of, let's just say, unique-looking ladies surround him, excited to catch a handsome criminal. They start swarming him, and he's completely overwhelmed by their protection. With the threat neutralized by comedy, the prince takes our girl to a high pagoda. She's shaking in her boots, begging for mercy. To save her skin, she promises she can help suppress his ice soul poison if he keeps her alive. The prince decides she's sensible enough to keep, but his version of keeping her involves forcing her to study medicine. She tries to act all sweet and obedient, calling him a wise and handsome prince while secretly calling him a cruel exploiter. The next day, she's faced with a literal mountain of books. Jin tries to be supportive and offers to study with her, which gives our girl a brilliant idea. She decides she shouldn't suffer alone and plans to use this to her advantage. She tells Jin that since the villainous Wanduo cares so much about status, they need to win over their father's favor immediately. She makes sure the household staff accidentally hears that the prince might marry Jin because they get along so well. The rumors spread like wildfire, reaching the Lord's ears. He decides he needs to secure Jin's status as his exalted daughter, so no one can look down on her once she marries into royalty. He orders a massive banquet to introduce her to the capital's elite, and our girl knows she's nailed it. When Wonryo hears the news, she loses it, splashing water everywhere in a fit of rage. She realizes her father is trying to give Jin her status back, and vows she won't let her ride high anymore. She calls for a secret meeting with her lover, Kingju, late at night. She plays the victim, asking what he's going to send Jin for the banquet. She manipulates him, saying that Jin is afraid he'll abandon her, so he needs to acknowledge their relationship publicly. Her real plan is much darker. She tells him to make her yours during the party. She hands him a bottle of love potion, planning to completely destroy our girl's reputation and life in one night. At the banquet, "I'll kick you into hell," she snarls, her face twisting with pure malice. 2 days later, the atmosphere is buzzing as guests gather for a grand celebration. Everyone is eager to suck up to the host, showering him with congratulations as they wait for the guest of honor, Prince Mu. The host proudly introduces his daughter, Chu Jin, hoping she'll make a big splash today. But while Chu Jin stands there looking like a literal angel, her sister, Chu Wonryo, is in the corner absolutely fuming. Why does she get everything just because her mother wasn't a concubine? She snarls to herself, wishing her sister would just drop dead. Wonryo isn't just pouting, though she's got a plan. She whispers to her servant to act as scheduled. The servant sneaks over to Chu Jin, lying through her teeth that the Infante is waiting to speak with her in her private room. Our girl, being way too kind for her own good, agrees to go right away. But the moment she steps inside, a hand slams over her mouth. It's a total ambush. Wonryo steps out of the shadows with a wicked smirk, holding a mysterious little bottle. "I have a special gift for you," she purrs. It turns out Wonryo isn't alone. She's brought along Kingju, who is currently pinning Chu Jin down. Jin is horrified to realize they've been plotting against her this entire time. Wonryo decides to twist the knife, revealing that Kingju has actually been in love with her for years, and only stayed with Jin to avoid suspicion. She even brags about how they murdered Jin's mother. She holds up a love filter, explaining that without a very specific and very NSFW antidote, Jin will be forced to lose her dignity. Wonryo mocks the memory of Jin's mother, describing her final moments in the most humiliating way possible. Kingju, showing he's a total piece of trash, tells Wonryo to stop talking and just feed her the drug already. He's getting impatient to start the ceremony. Wonryo forces the liquid down Jin's throat, cackling that Jin is finally going to taste the same hell her mother did. But wait, Jin starts laughing. She looks Kingju dead in the eye and calls him a complete fool for being Wonryo's puppet. "Are you really willing to just give me up and watch me marry Prince Mu?" she asks, playing on his possessiveness. She leans in, whispering that she can help him make her his forever. She points out that while she's engaged to him, Wonryo isn't, and if they get caught, she'll take all the blame while he stays innocent. The Trash King actually falls for it. He loosens his grip, and Jin immediately snatches the bottle away from a panicked Wonryo. "If I had seen through you earlier, I wouldn't have lost my mother," Jin growls, her eyes burning with revenge. She flips the script, declaring that today, Wonryo is the one going to hell. In a total boss move, she forces the drug down Wonryo's throat and smashes the bottle. Jin tells Kingju it's time to choose, but the greedy idiot says he wants both of them. Jin isn't having it, but before things can get even weirder, a little purple-haired powerhouse crashes through the ceiling. "Take my punch," the little girl screams, sending the villains flying. Kingju immediately starts groveling, claiming Wonryo seduced him and he just lost his mind. The little girl isn't buying his crap and summons massive flames. "Do what Jin asks or I will kill you," she threatens. Kingju is terrified as the little girl prepares to end him. But then she begins to glow with an intense, magical light. She starts to grow right before their eyes. Kingju is stunned, thinking he's found some kind of blessed monster to take advantage of. He tries to grab her, telling her not to struggle. Suddenly, a massive explosion of frost and light shatters the room. Out of the mist steps the silver-haired legend himself, Feng Yu. He sends Kingju flying into a wall with a single flick of his wrist. "How dare you touch her?" he roars, his voice dripping with murder. Our girl, still feeling the effects of the heat, clings to him, murmuring that he smells sweet. She's completely out of it, asking if she can hug him to cool down. Jumu is absolutely livid that they dared to drug her. He's ready to slaughter everyone in the room, but our heroine manages to gasp out, "No, wait." She begs him not to kill the trash yet. She wants to leave their fate to Jin. Jumu looks at the half-conscious Jin on the floor and scoffs, "What a nuisance." He grabs Jin and yeets her straight into the garden pond. The cold water snaps Jin out of her daze. Jumu carries our girl away, telling Jin that she's been detoxified by his magic and the water, and now it's up to her to handle the rest. Jin stands up, soaking wet and looking like a vengeful spirit. "Teaches, I will ruin your reputation," she vows. She finds the discarded filter bottle and heads back inside. Inside the room, the drugged Wonryo and Kingju are already losing their minds. Jin splashes the remaining drug on them, mocking them to take a sip of what you think is so good. Kingju tries to beg his dear cousin for help, but Jin tells him to get lost and find his true love, Wanduo. As the two villains succumb to the drug and start getting way too close for comfort, Jin watches with cold eyes. "I will pay you back for what you did to my mother," she declares, setting the entire room on fire. Outside, the servants scream as they see the flames. The host and the guests rush over, wondering why nobody is putting out the fire. The host looks through the window and turns pale. Everyone gets a front row seat to Wanduo and Kingju's scandalous behavior. The servants throw buckets of water on them to stop the heat, and Wanduo wakes up to find a crowd of people staring at her in horror. She screams as she realizes she's been caught in the act. Kingju looks up to see the uncle looking like he's about to have a stroke. The crowd is already gossiping, shocked that the pure and noble Lady Wanduo could be so shameless. Right on cue, Jin appears looking perfectly innocent and shocked by the scene. Wanduo loses it, pointing a finger at Jin and screaming that she was tricked. Jin just gives a tiny, petty smirk that only Wanduo can see. As Wanduo falls over in her state of undress, the crowd's judgment intensifies. Jin turns on the waterworks, sobbing about how her own sister and fiancé could betray her like this. How poor she is. The crowd cries, totally falling for her act. Wanduo begs Kingju to tell everyone the truth, but Jin whispers a final threat to him. The Infanta saw everything, and if he lies, he's dead. Trapped between a rock and a hard place, Kingju makes a choice. He grabs Wanduo and tells the host that they are deeply in love and have sworn to marry only each other. Wanduo's face is a mask of pure horror as she realizes her reputation is officially dead and buried. Prince Mu looks like a little painting as he relaxes with his little spirit companion. But the peace doesn't last long because our girl is currently burning up from a love potion. "Your body temperature is rather low," he notes, but little does he know she's about to lose all control. He mentions that the poison in his own body might be able to suppress the filter, but our heroine isn't listening to logic right now. In her chibai-fied, potion-induced haze, she lunges at him, shouting, "Hottie, kiss me, Tilda." Prince Mu is caught completely off guard, but our girl isn't taking no for an answer. She pulls him close, whispering, "SHH, be quiet, feel it." And just like that, the ruthless god of war is under her spell, thinking to himself that her taste is actually quite sweet. They share a passionate, high-stakes kiss that looks like something out of a fairy tale. "Sober up now?" he asks, looking way too smug for someone who just got tackled. Our girl is dying of embarrassment, wondering how she dared to kiss the most dangerous man in the kingdom. He leans in close, teasing her about how much bolder she was just a few minutes ago. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, the drama is peaking. That trashy cousin, Song Kingju, is on his knees, swearing to the uncle that he'll be nice to the sister, Chu Wanduo. He's publicly breaking his engagement with the blonde lady, Kingju, just so he can marry the sister he was caught with. The poor fiancé is left in tears, and the father is fuming over the public disgrace. He decides they have to marry just to save face, but then Chu Wanduo has the audacity to shout, "I refuse." She starts acting like a martyr, claiming she can't break the fiancé's heart. But internally, this girl is a total snake. She thinks the cousin is a powerless, worthless loser and has her sights set on Prince Mu instead. Song Kingju tries to play the noble lover, but the atmosphere shifts the second our girl arrives. The crowd is stunned to see the ruthless god of war actually holding a living person in his arms. People start whispering that our girl looks exactly like the Infanta, wondering if the prince has finally found his true love. Chu Wanduo, being the delusional villainess she is, starts screaming at our girl for throwing herself at his highness. Our girl is just over it, but Prince Mu handles the trash for her. He casually mentions that everyone already knows Chu Wanduo slept with her future brother-in-law in broad daylight. Our girl decides to double down on the drama, hugging the prince and declaring, "We like each other." Chu Wanduo looks like her brain is about to short-circuit as she realizes our girl might actually become the princess. Behind the scenes, our girl whispers to the prince that she's only saying this to get her tail back, but the damage to the sister's ego is already done. The prince turns his icy gaze toward the father, mocking him for not being able to discipline his own daughter. Our girl then drops the ultimate petty bomb. Since Chu Wanduo's mother was a concubine and she's already disgraced herself, she should only be allowed to marry the cousin as a lowly concubine. The father, desperate to end the scandal, agrees immediately. Chu Wanduo and her mother are horrified, but the decision is final. Even the cousin, Song Kingju, snaps. He realizes Chu Wanduo never really loved him and tells her she's not good enough to be his wife anymore, she'll just be a concubine. Our girl watches this dog-eat-dog show with total satisfaction. She shares a moment of solidarity with the jilted fiancé before Prince Mu decides he's had enough of the peasants. "Time's up, now go home with me," he says, literally carrying her away while the crowd watches in awe. But don't think for a second the villainess is defeated. That night, Chu Wanduo is in the garden, obsessively sharpening a massive knife. "I won't marry him," she mutters, her eyes dark with murderous intent. The glint of the blade says everything we need to know. Fast forward to the wedding day at the Chu mansion. It's a complete joke of a ceremony, with guests gossiping about how they've never seen a man hold a wedding for a mere concubine. Chu Wanduo walks in, her face hidden and her heart full of poison. She's planning to get even with everyone. As the officiant calls for them to bow to heaven and earth, the sister pulls a hidden blade. In a shocking burst of violence, she lunges forward and stabs the groom right in the gut. "Only when you die can I be clean again," she screams, looking completely unhinged. The mansion erupts into pure chaos as she tells everyone to go to hell. The guests are fleeing for their lives, calling her a crazy woman. The groom is left bleeding out on the floor as the family affair turns into a bloodbath. She turns the knife on her own parents, screaming that they've seen her at her lowest and now they all have to die. She is fully lost to her delusions, still thinking she can somehow be clean enough for Prince Mu. When our girl confronts her, Chu Wanduo loses the last of her sanity, screaming that no one has the right to judge her. She even slashes at her own mother, blaming her for being a concubine and making her a laughingstock for years. The mother is heartbroken, realizing her daughter has hated her for years. But Chu Wanduo doesn't care. She turns her sights back on our heroine, blaming her for her mother's death and everything else that went wrong. Our girl doesn't flinch, firing back that the father was the one who helped murder her mother. The father tries to call it nonsense, but the truth is finally out in the open. Chu Wanduo laughs like a maniac, raising her knife for one final strike. "Now go to hell," she screams. Someone shouts for her to stop, and our girl stands firm as Prince Mu watches over her. In her twisted mind, the sister sees visions of our girl seducing the prince and stealing the life that should have been hers. She takes a hostage and makes a final, desperate demand. "I want you," she screams at our girl. Without missing a beat, our heroine stares her down and says, "No problem, deal." Things are heating up as our girl Shui watches the chaos unfold. Poor Jin is being held at knife point by that absolute psycho Chu Wanduo. Shui tries to rush in and help, but a firm hand suddenly grabs her wrist. It's Prince Mu and he's looking dead serious. "What are you gonna do?" he asks, but Shui knows she can't just stand by while her first friend in this world is in danger. She turns to the villainess, offering one last olive branch. "Chu Wanduo, you will be forgiven if you stop now," she shouts. But Chu Wanduo has officially lost her marbles, laughing like a maniac as she screams that she'll only start her new life after she kills them all. She lunges forward, aiming to handle Jin first and Shui second. Blood splatters across the room as Shui throws herself into the fray to protect her friend. Suddenly, a massive bang echoes through the hole as Chu Wanduo is sent flying back. Prince Mu has reached his breaking point, his blue spiritual kai exploding outward in a terrifying display of power. "How dare you hurt my girl, I'll kill you," he roars, his eyes glowing with murderous intent. Shui panics, realizing his kai is spiraling out of control and the very air is freezing. She manages to calm him down, promising she won't get hurt again, which finally brings him back to his senses before the poison in his body can turn fatal. But the drama isn't over. In a shocking twist, Chu Wanduo's own father stabs her through the back. "You know too many secrets of mine," he whispers coldly as she collapses in a pool of blood. The man is a total snake, immediately dropping to his knees to fake a performance of grief for the audience. He claims he had to do it because she was crazy, all while secretly plotting to use Jin as his next pawn to get back into Prince Mu's good graces. Karma comes fast, though. Before he can finish his monologue, a blade pierces his chest from behind. Jin picks up a discarded dagger, her eyes cold as she looks at the woman who caused so much pain. Shui begs her to stay calm, but Prince Mu has seen enough. He orders the guards to drag the woman away for execution later. Jin collapses into Shui's arms, sobbing that even though the people who framed her mother are dead, she doesn't feel happy at all. Our girl holds her tight, promising to stay by her side as a true friend. As the tension breaks, Shui feels a surge of power. She's finally gotten another tail back. But the victory is short-lived because Prince Mu suddenly collapses from the strain. Remembering the Earth Spirit's advice that she needs to stay close to him to suppress his poison, Shui decides to take a bold step. "Well, you're in luck," she whispers before leaning in for a magical kiss to transfer her new spiritual kai to him. The effort drains her completely, and she shrinks back into her adorable cub form, falling asleep right on his chest. He holds her tenderly, his heart softening for the little fox. A few days later, Shui is still out cold, deep in a spiritual slumber. Prince Mu is worried sick, even though the doctor insists her pulse is healthy. Inside her dream world, Shui realizes she officially has two tails now. Suddenly, the mysterious Shu appears. He's been sleeping while she was in trouble, but he drops a bombshell. Because she overused her kai, her one-year deadline to find her tails has been slashed to just 6 months. If she fails, her body will vanish forever. Shu transfers his own spiritual kai to her to help her recover before vanishing back into the soul trap. Shui wakes up with a start, accidentally shouting "Shu" right in Prince Mu's face. The prince is immediately jealous. "Lying on top of me, you should call out another man's name," he demands, pinning her down. Shui is blushing like a tomato, especially when they end up in a very suggestive accidental kiss. She tries to lie her way out of it, claiming she was actually saying "cub," but the prince isn't buying it. He smirks, asking if she just wanted him to kiss her. He tells her to close her eyes and rest, but Shui can feel her heart thumping out of her chest. Is this a side effect of the Kai, or is she actually falling for this possessive prince? Meanwhile, at a different location, a mysterious red-haired man is cleaning up a mess of his own. An eagle lands on his arm with a secret message. He reads that the cub has returned to the mansion, but the girl has disappeared. A dark smirk crosses his face as he connects the dots. It seems they have never shown up together. I gotta go back to have a check, he muses. Watch out, Shui, a new predator is on the hunt. Boom. A massive explosion rocks the pharmacy as our girl's attempt at alchemy goes up in literal smoke. That's weird, I followed all the instructions, so why did the furnace explode? She wonders, clutching a scorched, useless pill. Poor Master Bai is absolutely devastated, wailing that he has nothing left, no pharmacy and no herbs. Seeing the wreckage, King Lewin reminds our heroine that His Royal Highness has plenty of spiritual herbs she could use instead. But our girl is in full panic mode, realizing she's running out of time to find her tails while King Lewin warns her that she's definitely getting punished for this mess. Thinking fast, our girl realizes that if they just leave the scene of the crime, it won't be their problem anymore. Master Bai, if we aren't here, the furnace and the herbs won't be our fault, haha, she cheers. King Lewin isn't buying it, flatly telling her, it's your asterisk fault, not our asterisk fault. As they wander, our heroine suddenly realizes she's been here forever and hasn't checked out the local nightlife yet. What a huge loss, I should have gone to a brothel to play with the boys, she exclaims, spotting the sign for the pleasure garden. King Lewin is nearly short-circuiting at the mention of brothels and boys. She remembers the prince's orders to protect the girl but not restrain her, and is taking everything she has not to drag our girl back by her hair. Suddenly, a handsome man with a fan appears, greeting them warmly. Our girl admits he's a looker, but he's still not as handsome as her prince. Still, she's a girl on a budget and asks, "Are you the owner? I'm new here and wondering if I can get a discount?" The owner gives a smooth, suspicious smile. He winks, telling her it'll be his treat if she can befriend him. Our girl is totally charmed, but King Lewin is fuming, wondering if she should let the girl cheat on the prince or risk disobeying orders. The vibe shifts when our heroine senses a sudden wave of danger. She tries to play it cute, but the tension is real. She's stunned when she sees the commotion nearby. A group of thugs is mercilessly kicking a silver-haired entertainer on the ground. "Break his leg, show me how you can run away then," they bark. They tell the poor guy that since he sold himself to them, his life belongs to them now. The owner tells the thugs to be quick so they don't disturb the distinguished guests. One thug sneers at the entertainer, "I would have killed you if you were not pretty," before pinching his face. Suddenly, bang, someone intervenes, sending the thug flying. The entertainer looks up in total shock. Our girl's forehead mark begins to shine as she looks at the man. A familiar scene, "What's your name?" she asks, feeling a strange connection. The thug tries to interject, calling the guy a cheap entertainer who isn't well trained. "Did I ask you?" Our girl snaps, her eyes glowing with a terrifying intensity. She stands tall and declares, "I'm from Prince Mu's mansion, I want him." King Lewin loses her mind, screaming, "His Royal Highness is yours and you still want more? You want this toy boy?" The owner looks intrigued, especially at the mention of Prince Mu. Our girl realizes she's in over her head when the owner asks for payment. The price tag is a staggering 666 taels of silver. "That much?" she gasps, while King Lewin refuses to pay a single cent. The entertainer hangs his head, saying he's not worthy of that much. He looks so pitiful, claiming he'll never meet anyone as good as her again. "Wait, no one says that, you're worthy of it," our girl shouts, her heart melting. She realizes he has a tail energy that can help her survive, so she tells the owner, "I'll take him away and you can come to Prince Mu's mansion to collect the payment." She leads her new purchase away, feeling like a boss. But the moment they step into the mansion, the air turns to ice. Prince Mu is standing there waiting and he looks absolutely murderous. "Oh, you're at home, haha." Our girl laughs nervously while the owner thinks to himself that she's definitely cheating. "Who are they?" the prince demands, his aura turning a dark, menacing purple. The owner tries to introduce himself politely. Our girl panics and shouts, "Friends, they're my friends who pay a visit here." She knows if the truth comes out, she's toast. She tries to butter the prince up, offering him a massage to help him relax. But Prince Mu isn't playing. He grabs her, demanding the owner finish his self-introduction. "Your Royal Highness, I'm the owner of the Pleasure Garden. This lady bought an entertainer from me and I'm here to collect the payment," the man reveals. Our girl's soul practically leaves her body. "Entertainer, ho, you have the nerve to buy something, don't you?" the prince growls. She desperately tries to think of an explanation while the prince looms over her. The silver-haired entertainer realizes the prince actually cares for her and decides to use this to escape his hellish life. He plays the weak man card, saying he'll just go back to that filthy place since he's not worthy of her attention. He hides a sly smile knowing he's won her over. The prince agrees it's a sensible choice for him to leave, but our girl screams, "No way, you can't." She looks the prince dead in the eye and drops a bombshell. "Feng Yu Mu, if you don't pay the money, I will leave with him." The prince is absolutely stunned, his voice trembling as he repeats, "Go with him." He pulls her into a tight, possessive grip, and it looks like things are about to get very, very heated. The tension in the room is so thick you could cut it with a butter knife as the Duke looms over our girl. I dare you to say that again? He growls, looking like he's about to lose his absolute mind. Our heroine doesn't miss a beat, shouting, "Let's go out." As she tries to pivot away from his terrifying aura, she gently cups his face, putting on her best trust me eyes to explain the situation. "I can explain it. I bought him because he has my tail," she pleads, hoping the truth sounds less like she's starting a harem. The Duke stares back, his expression flat and unimpressed. "Really?" he asks, clearly not buying the "it's for my tail" excuse for even a second. Our girl doubles down, swearing that she wouldn't dare lie to him while her chibai self practically vibrates with anxiety. He sighs, leaning back in his chair with a judgmental gaze. "I trust you for the moment," he concedes, but we all know he's keeping her on a very short leash. With the immediate threat of a jealous Duke handled, our heroine goes full puppy eyes mode to ask for a small favor. "So please buy him for me, Tilda," she begs, practically sparkling with desperation. When he hesitates, she pulls out the big guns. "If not, I can only go to the pleasure garden every day." That does the trick. The Duke explodes in a fit of rage, screaming, "No way!" At the thought of her hanging out in a den of vice. He realizes that leaving her to her own devices is a recipe for disaster. A few moments later, the deal is done, and our girl is blissfully counting her stacks of cash. But the Duke has a nasty surprise waiting. "King Lewin, get the paper and writing brush," he commands with a devious smirk. "She's gonna write me an IOU." Our heroine's jaw hits the floor. "That money is considered to be a loan," he explains coldly. "All his later expenditures are on you." Just like that, our poor girl is buried under a mountain of debt, sobbing over her 6,600 tail bill. She tries to haggle with the seller, Mr. Bai, hoping for a personal pickup discount. But Mr. Bai isn't running a charity. "Miss, I have given you the biggest discount. This is the lowest price," he says, snatching the money right out of her hands. Our girl watches her savings fly away like they have wings, her heart physically aching at the loss. To make matters worse, the boy she just bought, Tang Zijin, is ready to bounce. "I have also gotten money, so I gotta go," he says, looking way too casual for someone who just cost a fortune. Our heroine follows him back to his place, only to find a literal shack that's falling apart. "I am sorry to let you see this, but this is the only house I own," he says sheepishly. Our girl is horrified, suggesting he move into the backyard of the pleasure garden because literally anywhere is better than this dump. As she brainstorms how to pay back the Duke, she catches Tang Zijin looking suspiciously handsome. For a second, she considers forcing him to be an entertainer to rake in the cash, but she quickly shuts that down. "No, I can't force him, otherwise I can't get my tail back," she reminds herself. While she's spiraling, she notices a book on the table. Tang Zijin turns bright red, looking like he's been caught with his hand in the cookie jar. "Wait, this book is written by you?" she asks, eyes widening. He admits he wrote it just to kill time, but our girl sees a literal gold mine. She holds up his manuscript, titled The Handsome Childa and the Beautiful Slavey, with a predatory grin. "The types of ancient books are less than those in my era," she cackles, already imagining herself as a millionaire. Tang Zijin just smiles, promising to do whatever she says since she bought him. But then the mood shifts. Her spirit guide appears with some devastating news. "Shui, there is something different with the mark of the tail on his body," it warns. It turns out Tang Zijin only carries half asterisk of the tail mark. Our girl looks like she's been struck by lightning. She realizes that even if she fulfills his wish, she only gets half her tail back. "I gotta find another half tail," she screams, clutching her head in frustration. She's so stressed she literally collapses, but the drama is just getting started. Suddenly, the door is kicked in with a massive bang. A group of thugs barges in looking for trouble. They lay eyes on our heroine and start smirking. "Oh, a beauty, Mr. Tang, you cheated her to settle the debt." They sneer, looking her up and down like she's a prize. One thug reaches out to grab her, but Tang Zijin finally shows some backbone. "Don't touch her," he shouts, grabbing the thug's wrist with a dark, protective glare. The thug isn't intimidated, mocking Tang for being sold to a pleasure garden. He even suggests Tang sell himself to settle his mother's debt. Tang pulls our girl back, his voice steady. "I will pay my mother's debt, but you can't touch her," he declares. The thugs laugh it off, giving them a 3-day deadline before they leave. Once they're gone, our girl demands the tea on this mother's debt. Tang Zijin looks ashamed, asking if she'll despise him for his past. He explains that after his mother died a year ago, he had to borrow money from a casino to pay for her medical bills. On his way to raise the money, he was kidnapped and sold off like property. "I would rather die than surrender," he says, looking like a tragic hero. Our girl's heart breaks for the poor guy. "That's going too far," she fumes, her protective instincts kicking into overdrive. She promises him right then and there that his days of suffering are over. "I will lead you to make a great fortune and lead the best life," she vows, looking like a girl on a mission. The next day, Tang's bookstall is officially open for business. There's just one problem: Tang Zijin is the world's worst salesman. He looks like he's at a funeral while trying to sell his novels, scaring away every potential customer. Our girl watches from the sidelines, face-bombing. "He is exactly the enemy of money," she groans. She pushes him aside to show him how a pro does it. She takes a deep breath and starts barking like a carnival worker. "Look at it here, 5 tail for 1 book," she screams at the top of her lungs. She spots a group of girls looking bashful and pounces. She catches a girl staring at a spicy novel and calls her out on it. You want to read this book but feel embarrassed, don't you? She teases. She leans in, whispering that they are the same kind of person and that the book is beyond imagination. Sold, the girl shoves money at her and runs off with the package. Our girl doesn't stop there. She spots a shy guy hiding behind a tree and literally drags him out. You need this book to help you rebuild your confidence, she shouts, shoving a copy of How to Be a High-Handed Man into his face. He buys it instantly, and our girl celebrates her first 2 sales with a big thumbs up. Tang Zijin looks at her with absolute awe, wondering how she's so good at this. But the celebration is cut short. The thugs from earlier have returned, and they don't look happy about their client making bank without them. Everyone knows that no matter who wants to set up a stall in this street, he has to give some money to us. The boss growls, his face twisting into a malicious grin. It looks like our heroine's business venture just hit a very dangerous roadblock. Trouble is brewing in the shadows as Mr. Wang narrows his eyes, questioning if the man in the reports is truly Tang Zijin. His spy smirks, confirming that the guy is indeed out on the streets running a stall. Wang tosses a bag of coins to the informant, telling him to keep a close watch, while the greedy spy cackles over his easy payday. Wang isn't playing around, though. He mutters that Tang Zijin is still haunting them, and he needs to report this to the Childa immediately. We cut to the Childa, a handsome blonde man who is busy painting a portrait of a red-haired beauty. When Wang delivers the news, the Childa doesn't even look up. Wang explains that Tang Zijin has been redeemed from the pleasure garden and is now a lowly street vendor. The Childa's voice is cold as he says, "It doesn't matter, only if he didn't badger Wan, I would not kill him." But Wang is sweating bullets, reminding him that Miss Liu is still secretly searching for the man. That changes things. The Childa's expression darkens as he orders Wang to hire some thugs to teach him a lesson and kick him out of the city for good. Meanwhile, our girl is living her best life, humming a tune as she carries boxes of supplies. She's convinced they're going to be filthy rich by writing books, and she's already planning a feast to reward Tang for his hard work. Tang, ever the dutiful worker, asks if she wants him to try harder since their first batch sold out. Our girl gets a mischievous glint in her eye and suggests some newfangled themes that this world has never seen before. She starts describing a spicy plot involving a dominant captain and a weak, resourceful strategist. She's basically pitching a BL novel, giggling about the dynamic between a masculine lead and a feminine one. Poor Tang is absolutely mortified, his face turning beet red as he realizes exactly what kind of literature she wants him to write. That is too ridiculous, no I can't. He stammers, but our girl just grins, telling him it'll be exciting. Suddenly, the door is kicked open. A female guard marches in, demanding to know why our girl is hanging out here. Before she can protest, the guard hauls her off like a sack of potatoes, claiming Prince Mu ordered her return. Our girl flails, screaming back to Tang, "Think about it, I'll talk to you in detail tomorrow." The guard gives Tang a look of pure disgust, warning him to recognize himself because our girl belongs to the prince. Left alone in the dark, Tang's shy persona vanishes, replaced by a chilling gaze. "Sincerity can only be trampled on," he whispers, looking like a man with a very dangerous plan. Back at the mansion, Prince Mu wakes up in his massive bed. He reaches out, expecting to feel our girl beside him, but finds nothing but empty sheets. He looks annoyed, his morning mood ruined. Elsewhere, our girl sneezes, wondering why it feels so cold when winter is nowhere near. She finds Tang, who has stayed up all night to finish the new book. He hands it over, and as she flips through the pages, she sees the spicy illustrations he drew. The book is, very descriptive. She's hit with a massive nosebleed from the sheer stimulation of it all. "I didn't expect you to write so well," she squeals, knowing this is going to be a bestseller. But the jealous Prince Mu is right behind her, fuming because she's calling Tang by his name so intimately. He demands to see what she's reading, and our girl panics, knowing she'll be toast if he sees this smut. Tang tries to be helpful and hand the prince a copy of Imperial General Dress like N, but our girl lunges to stop him. "Just because you can't," she yells at the prince, offering no explanation other than her own desperation. She grabs Tang and bolts, claiming they're late to set up their stall. They leave the prince standing there in a cloud of dust, absolutely livid that he's been abandoned for another man. He summons his shadow guard, King Luan, and gives a stern order. "Follow her in secret and make sure she doesn't have any intimate contact with men." After a narrow escape, our girl and Tang are wheezing from the run. Tang gently offers to wipe her sweat, but our girl is focused on the grind. They have books to sell. However, when they get to the market, their usual spot has been snatched. Other vendors rudely tell them to scram, protecting their own territory. Tang suggests coming back tomorrow, but our girl isn't a quitter. She gets a brilliant, albeit ridiculous, idea. She drags Tang away and makes him put on bunny ears. She dons a pair of cat ears herself, striking a pose that leaves the locals confused. "New books have arrived, touch the cat ears for free with a purchase," she shouts. The marketing tactic is a massive success, as a crowd of girls swarms them, squealing over how cute they are. But the party is crashed by a group of thugs led by a man with a club. He slams his weapon down, demanding a protection fee of 50 taels. Our girl is fuming, shouting, "Are you robbing us?" The thug just smirks nastily, threatening to break their legs if they don't cough up the cash. One of them gets right in his face, sneering about why he's actually trying to run a legitimate business. Tang looks like he's seen a ghost and tries to pull our girl away, but the creep isn't letting go. "Take it easy, why don't you greet your old friend?" The thug mocks, grabbing Tang's arm with a grip like iron. Tang's face goes pale as he denies ever knowing this lowlife. But then the trash talker goes way too far, claiming he used to be a regular visitor of Tang's late mother. Tang finally snaps and slaps the taste out of his mouth, but the guy just laughs it off with a sickening reveal. He claims he slept with Tang's mother and dares Tang to call him father. The crowd starts whispering like vultures, mocking Tang for his mother's past, and honestly, people can be so cruel. They start throwing the books back, demanding refunds and acting like Tang's presence is a literal stain on the street. Our girl's guards are ready to jump in, but they're waiting for the right moment to strike. Suddenly, our girl has seen enough and shoves the lead thug back with everything she's got. "You just want money, right? As you wish," she screams, her eyes burning with pure rage. She hurls a bag of coins at him, telling him to take the cash and get lost, but the thug is a special kind of disgusting. He starts implying Tang is just as sultry as his mother and asks how he feels serving men. That was the final straw. Our girl yells at him to shut his mouth and kicks him right where it hurts. Tang is absolutely stunned. No one has ever stood up for him like this before. Even the guards are fangirling in the background over how awesome she is. Of course, the thug doesn't take the L gracefully and orders his men to attack. They lunge at her with weapons drawn, but our orange-haired guard is faster than a lightning bolt. He steps in to block the strike, looking like an absolute boss. But then a voice booms out, "Who dares touch her?" And even the guard is annoyed someone stole his cool hero line. A mysterious, incredibly handsome man in red robes appears, surrounded by flower petals like he's in a shampoo commercial. The crowd realizes this is the chief of the fairy sect, and he looks like he's looking for trouble. He leans in close to our girl, asking if he scared her, but she's not falling for the charm. He starts rambling about a beautiful night they spent together, and our girl's soul practically leaves her body. She panics, thinking he's going to expose that she once stole someone's underwear. To shut him up, she grabs his hand, and he smoothly transitions into saying he's just there to talk business. The guard is not having it and draws his sword on the newcomer. But our girl sees dollar signs when the red-clad guy mentions investing. She immediately demands 100,000 coins, and the look on everyone's face is priceless. She is straight up trying to rob this man. After some intense negotiation where she basically gives him the bare minimum of 20% profit, he agrees to drop 20,000 just to test the water. She's so happy she agrees to go out drinking with him, even though her guard is literally begging her not to go. To deal with the overprotective guard, the red-clad guy uses a bit of magic to wrap him up like a human burrito and leaves him rolling on the ground. As they head out, our girl is all smiles, but the red-clad guy looks back with a chilling expression. He's planning to take out the trash that harassed her earlier. Just as our girl and Tang are heading for dinner, a mysterious woman spots them from the shadows. She looks like she's seen a ghost, dropping her books in shock as she stammers out Tang's name. Just when things were looking up, a random maid storms onto the scene and points a finger right in Zijin's face. Zijin looks like he's seen a ghost, wondering what on earth she's doing there. He tries to block her before she can get a word out to our heroine, but the maid isn't having it. "Get out of my way," she snaps, her eyes burning with rage. Our girl is completely lost, watching the tension skyrocket as Zijin stands his ground. The maid doesn't hold back, screaming that he's nothing but a love rat and doesn't deserve her mistress. She even hurls a package at him. Our heroine is ready to throw hands to defend her man, but Zijin places a hand on her head and tells her he's got this. His expression goes cold as he claims this is just some personal business to handle. Our girl can feel it, his entire aura has shifted into something dark and dangerous. Zijin leans in, dripping with sarcasm as he mocks his own humble roots, and tells the maid that her precious miss is way out of his league. He tells her to deliver a message, he's officially done with her. The maid responds with a thunderous slap that leaves a mark on his face. She runs off in tears, vowing that he'll regret this, while our girl is left standing there with her jaw on the floor. Zijin just licks the blood from his lip and puts on a fake, charming smile like nothing happened. Our heroine realizes right then and there this guy is seriously duplicitous. Meanwhile, back at the Liu mansion, the poor miss is moping in the garden. Her maid rushes back and tells her to forget that love rat because he's already flirting with someone else. The heartbreak is real as the maid confirms she saw it with her own eyes. "He really cheated on you," she cries. Miss Liu is devastated but refuses to believe it until she hears it from his own mouth. She tries to bolt, but her guards and maids pile on her to keep her inside. Just as she's being manhandled, a blonde hottie named Runaway appears and demands they let her go. Miss Liu collapses into his arms, begging to know why Zijin abandoned her. While he comforts her, we shift to Prince Mu's mansion. The prince is looking elegant until he hears the news that Lion Sheng has taken his girl away. When he finds out it was all a ruse involving a bookstore, he snaps a rose in half. He's fuming, convinced she's out having a good time with another man. Seems I have to teach her how to be a good girl, he growls, looking like a total yander. Back with our main duo, our girl is stuffed after a big meal. She's daydreaming about their bookstore making them filthy rich. But the fantasy is cut short when Miss Liu suddenly appears, looking for Zijin. Our girl is ready to be friendly, but Zijin is a total savage. He looks Miss Liu dead in the eye and says, "She's just a stranger, I don't know her." He even tells her to have some self-respect. When the maid tries to defend her mistress, Zijin doubles down on the cruelty. He insults Miss Liu's dignity, asking if she plans to elope next. It's a total verbal assassination, and Miss Liu runs away, absolutely shattered. Our girl is horrified, thinking Zijin has turned into a total villain. But suddenly, a spirit voice mentions a tail is on that girl. Our heroine realizes she needs to get it back and chases after the crying Miss Liu. She finds her standing by the edge of a river and panics, thinking the poor girl is about to end it all. Our girl lunges to save her, but she trips over a rock and sends them both flying. There's a massive plop as they both hit the water. Sinking into the depths, our heroine starts seeing flashes of Miss Liu's memories with Zijin. Her eyes snap open underwater as she finally sees the truth. Our girl is literally drowning in her own memories, sinking deeper into a cold, watery abyss. As the light fades, she realizes with a jolt of panic that she can't swim, wondering if this is how her story finally ends. But just as the darkness closes in, a figure dives through the surface. It's Tang Zijin, and he's not about to let her go that easily. He catches her hand in the depths, pulling her into a desperate, protective embrace. With a massive splash, he hauls her back into the world of the living. He carries her limp body to the shore, his face a mask of worry and exhaustion. Her maid Pei Shui rushes over in a panic, crying out, "Miss, are you okay?" Tang Zijin looks absolutely drained as he holds her, but the moment is interrupted by the arrival of others. He knows he needs a justifiable reason for being here, but looking at our poor heroine, his heart clearly isn't as cold as he pretends it is. He gently lays her down on the grass, his eyes lingering on her pale face. As she slowly begins to stir, he immediately pulls back, trying to distance himself before she fully wakes. But our girl reaches out, grabbing his sleeve with trembling fingers. "Tang Zijin, don't leave me please," she whispers, her eyes filled with tears. Instead of comfort, she's met with a wall of ice. He sneers at her, demanding, "Do fair ladies have no sense of shame now? Dare to get fresh with a man in public?" He rudely yanks his sleeve away, leaving her stunned. Pei Shui isn't having it and barks at him to watch his language, but he just gives a cruel smirk. "Had it not been for saving Miss Pei, I wouldn't have even touched you," he spits out, his gaze full of genuine loathing. "You make me sick." He walks away without a backward glance, leaving our girl to spiral into a complete mental breakdown. She clutches her head, screaming for the pain to stop as the trauma of his rejection hits her like a physical blow. We shift scenes to Prince Mu's mansion, where our girl is tucked away in bed, burning up with a dangerous fever. Prince Mu is right by her side, looking incredibly flustered as he tries to tend to her. He touches her skin and realizes she's scorching hot, immediately shouting for his servants to call a doctor. But while her body is fighting a fever, her soul is going through something way weirder. She opens her eyes only to realize she's a tiny, fluffy ferret cub. Before she can even process her new paws, a creepy, glowing ghost figure pops up, scaring the absolute daylight out of her. The ghost turns out to be a spirit named Shu, who explains that they aren't in the real world. They've entered a shared dream between her and Tang Zijin. They float through the dreamscape and stumble upon a memory of the past. It's a younger Tang Zijin and Liu Wanwen, and they look actually happy. Zijin is blushing like a schoolboy, promising her that once he earns first place in the imperial examination, he'll marry her with the most lavish gifts imaginable. They share a sweet, tender kiss, and our girl in her ferret form is absolutely losing it over how cute they were. Wanwen hands him a handmade pouch as a token of her love, and he looks at it like it's the greatest treasure in the world. "Wanwen, I love it," he whispers, pulling her into a hug. Ferret Wanwen is crying literal tears, realizing they were once a deeply intimate couple. But the dream takes a sharp, dark turn. She follows Zijin's spirit into a hidden memory to find out what changed him. The scene shifts to a dungeon where a young Zijin is tied up, bloodied, and beaten. A villainous man taunts him, mocking his mother and his status. Suddenly, she's snapped back to reality, or well, ferret reality. She wakes up and immediately lunges at the first person she sees, shouting, "Take this." It turns out she just tried to claw Prince Mu's face off, and he catches her midair, looking beyond confused. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, the real Tang Zijin bolts upright in bed, drenched in sweat and gasping for air. He's been having the same nightmare again. He looks down and sees that old handmade pouch, the one from the dream. His eyes fill with a terrifying, cold rage as he tosses the precious gift straight into the fire. As the flames consume the silk, he growls, "The Liu family, I will let you pay the price for what you've done to me." Safe to say, the honeymoon phase is officially over. Our girl is desperately trying to play the "I'm sorry" card, trailing behind her icy man while pleading for forgiveness. "I didn't mean to hurt you last night, Tilda, can you just let this go?" She chirps, hoping a little cuteness will save her neck. But the Duke isn't making it easy. He stops dead in his tracks, causing our poor heroine to slam right into his back with a pathetic little ouch. He turns around with that classic "I'm listening" chibai stare and asks if she really wants him to drop it. Our girl doesn't hesitate for a second, her eyes sparkling with hope as she shouts, "Yes, yes, yes." He leans in close, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper as he mutters a lingering "well." She's completely frozen, her face turning a shade of red that would put a tomato to shame, wondering if this is the moment he finally makes a move. Of course, the universe loves to ruin a good moment, and a guard bursts in with an urgent order from the king, demanding the Duke head to the palace immediately. Our girl is practically pushing him out the door, telling him he'd better hurry up. But before he leaves, he gives her that look, you know the one. He warns her to stay put and wait for him, adding a chilling, "If I can't find you when I'm back, you know what the consequence will be." She plays it cool until his carriage is out of sight, and then bam. Run with the wind, freedom is what I want. She cheers, doing a victory lap because she has zero intention of being a good little housewife. Her goal, finding Liu's mansion. Only problem is she has no idea where it is. While she's lost in thought, she walks straight into a very firm chest. She looks up, and who else could it be but Lion Cheng, looking as smug as ever. He catches her in a dramatic dip, asking if she's finally decided to dump her toy boy and choose him instead. She realizes this flirtatious troublemaker might actually be useful for once. She asks him to help her find someone, and he's more than happy to play the hero. They sprint through the city toward Liu's mansion, though he can't resist throwing a little shade at her usual man. When they arrive, the gates are shut tight, leaving our girl wondering how on earth they're going to get in. Lion Cheng just gives her a wicked grin and says he's got a plan. That plan turns out to be him literally launching her over the high wall like a sack of potatoes. She lands on her backside fuming while he stands there admiring his own handsomeness. But their bickering is cut short when they spot a high-stakes drama unfolding in the garden. A guy named Runaway is getting way too possessive with a girl named Wanwen. He looks like a total yandir, whispering that he'll never give her up, even if he has to compete for her. Our girl is watching from the bushes, realizing this guy is bad news. When Runaway tries to force a kiss on the poor girl, our heroine decides she's seen enough. She can't just stand by and let this creep take advantage of her. She grabs a heavy stick and whack, delivers a perfect overhead strike to the back of his head. Runaway drops like a stone, and our girl stands over him like a boss. But things get weird fast. Miss Liu is apparently drunk out of her mind and mistakes our girl for someone named Zijin. Before she can react, Miss Liu grabs her and plants a massive kiss right on her lips. Lion Cheng is watching from the sidelines, absolutely horrified and dying of jealousy at the same time. He's so pissed off he refuses to even help her untangle herself from the drunk girl, claiming he doesn't even know her. Our girl has to use her spiritual power to force Miss Liu to sober up. As the fog clears from the girl's head, she looks at our heroine and realizes exactly who she is. The girl she thinks is her rival. Miss Liu starts panicking, screaming for help and wondering how these intruders got into her home. Our girl has to practically pin her down to get her to listen, shouting that she's only there to talk about Tang Zijin. The mention of his name breaks the girl's spirit, and she bursts into tears, asking why he didn't come to see her himself. Lion Cheng, being the king of zero tact, chimes in with, "It means he doesn't love you anymore." Our girl has to tell him to shut his mouth while she tries to comfort the sobbing mess of a girl. She promises to help, but only if Miss Liu tells her the full story of what happened between them. It turns out it was a classic romance. They met in the rain under a pavilion, and it was love at first sight. He was a perfect gentleman, and they spent their days sending love tokens and promising to be together forever. Our girl realizes that the love stories she found in Zijin's room were actually written specifically for Miss Liu. But then one day he just vanished without a word. Her family told her he was just a gold digger who abandoned her, but she didn't believe it until she saw him with our heroine. Our girl promises to get to the bottom of the mystery, but the group huddle is suddenly interrupted by a voice that sends shivers down her spine. "Got you." She slowly turns around to find the Duke standing there looking absolutely murderous. Our girl's only thought, "Screwed, how does he know I'm here?" Our girl is caught red-handed and can only offer a nervous laugh as she stammers, "Ah ha ha, why are you here?" But the prince isn't in the mood for games, grabbing her arm and demanding she return with him immediately. Of course, the investor isn't letting his prize go that easily, stepping in to claim she has a dinner date with him. Our poor heroine is caught in the crossfire, frantically waving her hands while yelling, "I haven't, I won't," he's lying. The prince, absolutely done with this guy's interference, hits him where it hurts. The wallet. Is an investor a big deal? He sneers, "I'm short of anything but money." He doubles down, promising to invest 10 times more into her bookstore than the other guy ever could. Suddenly, the prince is looking a lot more handsome to our girl, whose eyes literally turn into gold coins as she gasps, "Really?" The investor is left speechless, wondering if the prince has lost his mind spending 200,000 taels on a simple shop, but the prince just drags her away, telling her not to waste time listening to such crap. She's happily clinging to his arm now, though she still has to double-check if that massive investment offer was for real. As they arrive back, a servant mentions there's trouble at the bookstore, but before our girl can even process the news, she spots Zijin. She tries to rush over to him, but the prince isn't having any of it, snatching her up by the back of her collar like a naughty kitten. "Don't let her leave her room without my permission," he barks, leaving her flailing as she's carried off. Once she's out of earshot, the prince turns his icy gaze towards Zijin. He's done being subtle, telling the man he can no longer stand by while our heroine gets into trouble because of him. "Stay away from Shui from now on," he commands, his voice dripping with authority. Zijin looks devastated, realizing his entire plan is about to go up in smoke if he's banned from seeing her. Desperate, he drops the act and tells the prince straight up, "My target is you, not her." This was the wrong thing to say. The prince snaps, lunging forward and grabbing Zijin by the throat, asking if he's looking for his doom. Choking, Zijin finally spills his tragic truth: the Liu family destroyed his life. Through a series of heartbreaking memories, we see him kidnapped and humiliated after his exams. His mother was hounded to her death while he was sold off to a brothel to be tortured and shamed. Tears streaming down his face, he begs the prince to uphold justice for him. But the prince remains cold, asking why he should even bother. Zijin offers his eternal service, but the prince just wipes his hands in disgust, telling him he'd have killed him already if he hadn't been useful to Shui. He warns Zijin to stop the tricks and walks away, leaving the man broken on the floor. Zijin realizes that if the prince won't help him, his life truly has no meaning. He pulls out a hidden dagger, apologizing to our girl for wasting the life she worked so hard to save. But just as he's about to end it all, a burst of magic shatters the blade. The prince is back, and he is absolutely livid that Zijin would dare use his own death to manipulate him through Shui's feelings. Zijin realizes he's found the prince's weakness. He cares about our girl far too much to let her be saddened by a death. Seeing an opening, he gasps out a new deal. He can help keep the other suitors away from her. He snitches on Lian Sheng, the owner of the fairy sect, revealing that the guy has been sending her favorite pastries and trying to convince her to leave with him. The prince's jealousy flares instantly, his face darkening as he growls, "How dare he?" Seeing the hook is set, Zijin promises to do his best to keep the competition away. The prince finally relents, ordering him to stay by her side and report everything. As the prince walks away, Zijin exhales a massive sigh of relief, knowing he barely escaped with his head. But the sadness in his eyes turns to pure venom as he looks at the moon, vowing that the Liu family will pay for everything they did to him. The next morning, the atmosphere is much lighter as our girl goes hunting for Wanwen. She finds her and immediately starts acting all mysterious, telling Wanwen to close her eyes for a special surprise. Our girl starts performing some intense spiritual hand signs, determined to see what's really going on in Wanwen's heart. She's trying to dive into Wanwen's dreams to see her past, but after a big dramatic flourish, absolutely nothing happens. It turns out her powers only work when the person is having violent mood swings, and Wanwen is just too chill. Frustrated, our girl moves to plan B. She pulls out a book she spent all night writing, 36 Stratagems for Winning a Man. She proudly tells a blushing Wanwen that with this guide, she could even win the love of a stone monkey. But their girl talk is interrupted when a mysterious, handsome man appears behind them, asking if he can join in and broaden his horizons. Business is booming at the grand opening of the bookstore, and our girl is pulling out all the stops with a buy one get one free deal that has the whole town lining up. She's feeling herself as the boss lady, but she's got a little something extra up her sleeve for her grumpy manager, Zijin. "Zijin, I have a surprise for you," she chirps, practically vibrating with excitement. The surprise? She's hired Wanwen to be his new assistant to make sure he doesn't overwork himself. But instead of a thank you, Zijin looks like he's just seen a ghost, demanding to know why she's even there. Poor Wanwen tries to play it cool, saying she's just here to help. Suddenly, a wild blonde guy appears, claiming he's only here to keep Wanwen company. Internally, this guy is fuming, swearing he'll never let Wanwen get back with that B***starred Zijin. Zijin isn't having any of it and tells them both to get lost. Our girl is stunned because she's the one who invited Miss Liu here, but the tension is already thick enough to cut with a knife. She whispers to a nervous Wanwen to just stick to the plan they discussed yesterday. The workday begins, but it's a total train wreck. Wanwen is the definition of a clumsy heroine, knocking over stacks of books, and eventually splashing water right onto a fuming Zijin. Our girl decides it's time for the romantic porridge trope and brings over a snack, insisting that Wanwen serves it. She leaves them alone, giving a thumbs up and cheering, "Go for it." Wanwen offers the lotus porridge with a trembling heart, but Zijin is done playing games. He knocks the bowl right out of her hand, calling her annoying. He grabs her wrist, his eyes cold as ice. "Exalted Miss Liu should condescend to serve me. What trick are you playing this time?" He sneers. He gets dangerously close, mocking her by asking if she's just lonely and looking for a fix. He pushes her back, telling her there's no need to hide her true colors anymore. Wanwen is shaking, barely able to get his name out. But Zijin leans in with a final, devastating blow. "I didn't know you, a fair lady, were just like those WH**res in brothels." He spits, "You really make me sick." That's the breaking point. Wanwen winds up and slaps him across the face, tears streaming down her cheeks as she asks if he really hates her that much. His answer is short and brutal, sure. While our girl is daydreaming about her next publication, a sobbing Wanwen bursts past her. Zijin is left alone, punching his desk until his knuckles bleed from the sheer frustration. Our girl rushes in to stop him, horrified by the self-destruction. Zijin eventually collapses, looking like a broken man. Later that night, she finds him completely wasted, surrounded by empty bottles. As he passes out, he mumbles about how much he suffered because of one. Suddenly, our girl is pulled into a vision of Zijin's past. She sees him being brutally bullied and held down by guards. A man mocks him, telling him that Wanwen is already engaged and that he was nothing more than a time-killing toy boy for her. Zijin screams for her, refusing to believe the lies. But he's met with a boot to the ribs and a command to send him to the pleasure garden. As he lies in the dirt, he truly believes Wanwen was just fooling with him the whole time. Our girl realizes this wasn't in the original story at all. Someone has been pulling the strings and playing tricks on their memories. She vows to find out who's plotting behind the scenes. As she snaps back to reality, determined to fix this mess, she organizes a massive sociable party at a private villa, and the prince is footing the entire bill. The guests are gossiping about how much the prince dotes on her, but our girl is focused on her mission as the best matchmaker. She's watching couples fall in love left and right. She tries to enjoy some fruit wine, but the prince snatches it away, warning her not to get drunk because he's the one who will have to carry her home. They have a cute little bicker, and he asks if all this matchmaking means she's longing to get married herself. He pokes her cheek playfully, and she explains she's actually trying to draw out the villain behind the dream trap. The prince pets her head like she's a puppy, though he doubts she can fix the deep-seated hate Zijin has for the Liu family. Our girl spots Zijin and thanks him for his hard work lately. She tells him she's prepared a big surprise for him in the pavilion and practically shoves him toward it. She and the prince hide in the bushes to watch the magic happen. She's already coached Wanwen on how to win a man like Zijin. Wanwen stands in the moonlight, blushing as she hears someone approach. "You finally come," she whispers. But wait, it's a total disaster. The blonde guy, Runaway, is the one who walked into the trap instead of Zijin. Wanwen doesn't see his face and confesses her heart out. "I like you and want to be your wife." Zijin is watching from the shadows, looking absolutely sullen as he sees her confessing to another man. He turns to our girl, asking if this was her plan all along. She's panicking, realizing the script has gone totally off the rails. Wanwen finally looks up and realizes she's talking to Runaway, not Zijin. Runaway is smug, asking if she was really waiting for him. Zijin, seeing enough, turns around to leave. Wanwen tries to chase after him, but Runaway grabs her, refusing to let go. He's desperate, demanding to know why she can't see his feelings for her. Wanwen isn't having it and bites his hand to break free, running away as fast as she can. Runaway's face darkens into something truly villainous, muttering that he might just have to kill Zijin after all. Wanwen finally catches Zijin and grabs his arm, pleading with him to listen. "You're the one I like always," she cries. She throws herself into a hug. But Zijin just looks disgusted. He calls her skittish and shameful, mocking her for hitting on every man she sees. He tells her he feels sick just hearing her speak. Wanwen is shattered, finally snapping back, "Tang Zijin, I hate you," before running off in tears. Zijin watches her go, his own heart breaking even as he tells himself that her hate is exactly what he wants. Meanwhile, Runyu watches from the shadows, his eyes burning with a dangerous obsession as he swears he cares for her more than Zijin ever could. Zijin is at it again, looking at our girl with pure venom. "I feel disgusted to hear shameless women like you say even one more word." He spits, completely shattering her heart. Wanwen can't take the rejection and bolts into the dark forest, only to take a nasty spill in her haste to get away. Sobbing on the ground, our poor heroine wonders why her beloved Zijin is treating her like absolute trash when she's done nothing wrong. Suddenly, the bushes rustle and she realizes she's not alone in the dark. Before she can even scream for help, a rough hand clamps over her mouth. "Zijin, help!" She cries out in her mind, but the only thing left behind is a single purple shoe in the dirt. Meanwhile, the search party is out in full force, torches lighting up the night. Shui is tagging along with the mysterious lord, but she's more focused on not tripping over her own feet than finding her friend. "Watch out," he says, catching her in a dramatic dip. Instead of being swooned, Shui is totally over his fish-like charms and just wants to find Wanwen before something terrible happens. Zijin, finally coming to his senses, is desperately searching the woods, regret written all over his face. He spots Wanwen's shoe near a cluster of nasty-looking thorn bushes and dives right in without a second thought. But instead of finding his lady, he gets ambushed by a pair of thugs who throw him to the ground. These creeps start mocking him, saying his skin is as fair as a woman's and that they might as well enjoy themselves since it's a dark night. "Good idea," the light thug sneers, moving in to take advantage of the situation. Little do they know, Zijin isn't just a pretty face. He's packing heat in the form of a hidden dagger. While Zijin is literally fighting for his life, Wanwen is locked away in a shed praying for a miracle. That miracle arrives in the form of Runyu, who rescues her from the remaining thugs outside. He plays the hero perfectly, pretending to be gravely injured just to get those sweet, sweet sympathy points. Wanwen falls for it hook, line, and sinker, sobbing into his chest while he smirks internally. When Zijin finally arrives, battered and bloody from his own fight, this is the heartbreaking scene he walks into. Back at the camp, Shui tries to play mediator, but the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Zijin is radiating pure, super jealous energy while Wanwen dotes on the injured Runaway. Wanwen turns on Zijin like a viper, screaming, "Tang Zijin, are you sure you're not a monster?" Our poor guy hides his own mangled, bloody hands behind his back, refusing to let her see how much he suffered to find her. "Where were you when I needed you?" She demands, her voice cracking with pain as she chooses the wrong man. Zijin's heart is shattered, but his pride won't let him explain the truth. "She's not worth it," he tells Shui, dragging her away before she can spill the beans. Wanwen watches him leave, deciding she's finally done chasing a man who doesn't seem to care. As Zijin walks into the night alone, he whispers to himself, "Liu Wanwen, you will never find out how much I've suffered for you." But wait, the plot thickens. Runyu is back at the manor, playing the part of the recovering victim. He tells Wanwen he'd risk his life for her, further cementing his hero status. However, as soon as she leaves the room, his weak act vanishes instantly. He meets with the thugs in secret. It was him all along. He hired them to kidnap Wanwen just so he could swoop in and play the hero. "I asked you to kill him," he snarls, furious that Zijin survived the encounter. Just as he's paying off the survivors to keep them quiet, a spy in the shadows accidentally snaps a twig. Runyu's head snaps around with a murderous glare. Is the secret finally out? A cat's tail flickers suspiciously in the window under the pale moonlight. It's just Tuin, the sneaky little furball, causing trouble again. Our spy is having a rough night, complaining that the cat keeps escaping the bedroom and nearly got him caught. "Ouch, you little monster," he yelps as the cat goes full tiger on his face. After a quick chibai retreat, he reports back to the palace where the prince is busy being a total softie, watching our girl sleep. She seldom behaves well like now, it feels so good. He muses with a look that screams he's got it bad. But the mood is ruined when the spy bursts in with the tea. It was Su Runyan who sent those bandits to kidnap Liu Wanwen. Our girl is livid, swearing as a matchmaker to clear the air between Tang Zijin and Wanwen now that she knows who the real villain is. Her solution, a staff team-building activity that's definitely a trap to expose that hypocrite Su Runyan. The next day in the outskirts, the prince crashes the party, claiming he's the investor, so he has every right to be an insider. Even Su Runyan shows up, looking like he just stepped off a runway and onto our girl's nerves. The tension is thick enough to cut with a sword as the boys start throwing shade, and Shui desperately tries to keep them calm. She claps her hands, trying to get everyone's attention before a war breaks out. "Team up with me," Zijin demands, but the prince isn't having it, declaring she's mine. Amidst the chaos, our girl spots her real targets, the awkward lovebirds Zijin and Wanwen. She forces Zijin to team up with Wanwen, ignoring their immediate protests. "I don't take your refusal," she says, her aura turning terrifying. Zijin looks like he's seen a ghost as our girl goes full demon mode matchmaker. She gives Wanwen a pep talk, telling her to give the guy just one more chance. With a final look of determination, the group set off. Shui cheers them on, hoping they actually enjoy themselves. But things are still incredibly awkward between the two as they stand with their horses. They ride in silence, the tension practically vibrating through the trees. Finally, Zijin snaps, asking why she keeps following him and what on earth she wants. Wanwen looks heartbroken, asking, "What on earth do I mean to you?" He turns away coldly, claiming he has nothing for her. Ouch, but before she can cry, something much worse appears in the shadows. Her eyes go wide with pure terror as the horses sense the danger. Bears, massive red-eyed beasts, charge out of the woods as Zijin screams for her to run. Shui hears the scream and panics, realizing Wanwen is in trouble. Back at the attack, Zijin tries to be a hero, telling Wanwen to ride away while he holds them off. He stands his ground against the massive predator. "Now run," he screams, swinging a stick at a little monster. She grabs his hand, refusing to leave him behind, just as a massive blast of blue energy hits the scene. The energy swells through the clearing. Our girl arrives just in time, magic glowing in her hands. Go find Feng Jiumu," she commands, stepping between the couple and the bear. The bears roar and they look absolutely hungry for blood. One lunges with teeth bared. Shui stands her ground while Zijin insists he can't leave her alone. He is clearly shaken by the sheer size of the beasts. One of the bears swipes at Zijin, sending him flying back. Wanwen's horse spooks and she's barely hanging on as she screams his name. The horse rears up right in front of a bear's jaws. Zijin lunges to save her, but the bears are closing in fast. "Run after me if you dare," Shui shouts, taunting the beast to follow her instead. She leads the whole pack away into the deep forest, telling the others to find the prince. He spots a majestic deer taking aim with his bow. He's a perfect shot, focused and calm. But then someone bursts through the bushes, screaming for help. "Miss Shui is in danger, please go to rescue her," they cry, and the prince's heart nearly stops. He drops everything and sprints into the woods like a man possessed. Deep in the forest, Wanwen has caught up to Shui, but they've been back to a cliff. It's a dead end, and the bears are right on their heels. Wanwen slips and falls over the edge, and Shui lunges forward with a desperate cry. She catches Wanwen's hand just in time. They're dangling over a massive drop. Wanwen, hold me tight, Shui grunts, clinging to a single vine for dear life. They're dangling over a massive drop, and the situation is grim. Shui's face is pale from the strain. Sweat and tears are pouring down as her grip begins to fail. Suddenly, snap, the vine starts to give way. Wanwen tells Shui to let her go so she can live, but our girl refuses to let go of her friend. I brought you here so I have to protect you, she screams back. The vine breaks completely and they plummet toward the abyss. Shui prepares to use every ounce of her power, even if it drains her completely. Don't worry, I will protect you, she thinks just as the prince and Su Runyan arrive. Wanwen is caught and pulled to safety, but our girl is still falling. Another snap and she's totally airborne. It's late, she thinks, watching the sky move further away. She closes her eyes, accepting the end as she falls through the air. Wanwen screams in horror. Memories of her life flash before her eyes. Am I really going to die again? She wonders, thinking of the prince's face and calling for her father. She realizes that to him, she might have just been a container for a spirit after all. She gives a sad final smile, but then a shadow falls over her. It's him. The prince dives off the cliff without a second thought, his hair flying in the wind. He catches her in midair, holding her bridal style as he lands. Don't be afraid, I'm here with you, he whispers, and our girl can only stare at him in shock. Hold me tight, don't let go, she cries out as she plunges toward the earth. But just before she hits the ground, she's caught in a pair of strong, familiar arms. It's Feng Yu Heng, looking like a total celestial snack, whispering that he's sorry for being late. Our girl is so relieved she can practically hear her own heart thumping against his chest as she clings to him for dear life. Jumu doesn't miss a beat, landing gracefully while keeping her tucked safely against him. But the relief is short-lived when he realizes something is terribly wrong. Why is your power draining away so quickly? He demands, his voice laced with panic. She looks up at him with fading eyes, pleading with him not to be angry or punish anyone for this. She confesses that she only has half a tail left, which is why she's reaching her limit. Jiumu's eyes widen in shock as he promises to bring her back and heal her. With her last bit of strength, she gazes at him and whispers the words he's been waiting for. I've fallen in love with you. Suddenly, her body begins to glow and disperse into petals. In a flash of light, our heroine regresses back into her adorable, tiny white fox form. Jiumu carefully cradles the little fox in his hands, his expression hardening with a terrifying resolve. He vows that he will save her no matter what the cost. When his subordinates arrive, calling out for His Royal Highness, Jiumu doesn't even look at them, simply ordering everyone to head back immediately. One of the guards catches a glimpse of the fox and realizes exactly who or what the prince is protecting. Meanwhile, the drama is hitting an all-time high elsewhere as Wanwen collapses in a heap. A mysterious red-haired man watches from the shadows, a sinister smirk playing on his lips. No wonder I couldn't find it, he muses. Turns out she is the fox. He's been hunting for this cunning little thing for a long time, and now he finally has her right where he wants her. The scene shifts to Tang's house, where a doctor is checking on a fainted Wanwen. He tells the silver-haired Zijin that she's simply fainted from extreme fear and needs rest. Zijin thanks him, but the second the doctor leaves, his face twists into a mask of pure resentment. He looks down at the sleeping girl, wondering why she always has to show up and ruin his life. In his mind, he sees flashes of his past, being beaten, his career ruined, and his mother dying in grief, all because of her family. It was all your fault, he hisses, his hands trembling as they hover over her neck. He asks her how many times he could have killed her already, his fingers twitching with the urge to end it all. But as he looks at her peaceful face, his resolve shatters. He draws back, laughing hysterically at his own weakness because, despite everything, he just can't do it. He breaks down, covering his face as he admits that he can't bear to lose her. He wants to drop the revenge and just be with her, but the nightmares of what happened to him haunt him every single night. He leans down, a single tear trickling down his face as he kisses her forehead one last time. He hardens his heart again, vowing to make everyone pay and warning the sleeping girl to never come near him again. When Wanwen finally wakes up, she sees him trying to leave and grabs his sleeve, begging him not to go. Zijin doesn't even turn around, coldly telling her to get out now that she's awake. I love you, she cries out, but he snaps back that he doesn't deserve her love. She's confused and heartbroken, demanding to know why he's being so cruel. You really want to know? Fine, he yells, losing his cool. He grabs her hand and rips open his robe to reveal horrific scars across his chest. Wanwen gasps in horror, asking how this happened. He reveals the dark truth. On the day of his imperial exam, her father set a trap, locked him in a chamber, and tortured him just to keep him away from her. Because of her father's integrity, Zijin was disqualified and his mother died of a broken heart. He tells her that even after he escaped, she refused to see him and even had him sold to a pleasure garden after humiliating him in public. Wanwen is sobbing, insisting she never did those things, but Zijin is done listening. He calls her an unfaithful woman and tells her she doesn't even get to use the word love. He swears his revenge and screams at her to get out of his sight before he kills her. As she flees the room in tears, Zijin collapses, hoping that in the next life they never meet again. Wanwen rushes back to her home, clutching a dagger, her eyes filled with a dangerous light. She confronts her father, her voice trembling as she asks him if it's true. Her father tries to play it off, telling her to rest, but she won't back down. She screams the accusations at him, the torture, the disqualification, the pleasure garden, and demands the truth. When he tries to make excuses, she pulls the knife to her own throat, threatening to end it right there if he doesn't confess. Broken by her desperation, the trash dad finally admits it. Yes, I did it. He claims he did it for her because Zijin was lowborn and didn't deserve her. Hearing the confirmation of Zijin's suffering, Wanwen laughs through her tears, realizing that the man she loves was telling the truth all along. Overcome with guilt and grief, she collapses as her father screams for a doctor. The dagger clatters to the floor, marking the end of her innocence. But wait, the plot thickens. We jump to a new scene where a mysterious man is carrying a feisty little chibai Wanwen. She's kicking and screaming for Zijin to help her, but the man just smirks. He approaches a silver-haired figure, could it be Zijin, and announces that he's here to fulfill a promise. Our girl looks up completely confused, asking, "Promise, what's that?" It looks like the cycle of drama is starting all over again. Our girl is lurking outside the study, panicking because her man is alone with her partner. What should I do now? She frets, but before she can make a move, the door creaks open and she face-splints right into the room. What the F asterisk CK? She screams as she loses her balance. Luckily, the silver-haired Duke is right there to catch her. He smirks, teasing her by saying, "I didn't expect you'd miss me so much, although we were just apart for a while." Our heroine is a blushing mess as he leans in way too close for comfort. Just as things get spicy, a messenger interrupts to beg for help. The Duke doesn't miss a beat, scooping our girl up like a sack of potatoes while she kicks and screams. Meanwhile, he's already plotting his revenge against the Liu family. 3 days later, the atmosphere at the Liu mansion is thick with gloom. Wanwen hasn't touched a bite of food for days, staring at a jade pendant with eyes full of tears. She's drowning in guilt, thinking she's the reason for Zijin's suffering. But the pity party is cut short when a servant rushes in screaming that the Lord has been imprisoned. Her mother is hysterical, hearing that he's been locked up for leaking test materials. "No way, father couldn't have done that." Wanwen cries out, refusing to believe the charges. She bolts out the door, determined to find the truth. She ignores her mother's calls and heads straight for the Court of Judicial Review. She corners Chief Minister Lai, begging for the misunderstanding to be cleared up. "Mr. Lai, my father couldn't have done that," she pleads. But Lai just sighs, calling her father a good-for-nothing who messed with the wrong intellectual. He pushes her aside, telling her to just give up and go home. The gears in Wanwen's head start turning. Could that intellectual be Zijin? She walks away as the rain begins to pour, her heart sinking. She's convinced Zijin is taking his revenge for the public humiliation her father put him through. Maybe this is just the beginning, she whispers, wondering if she's next on his hit list. She collapses in the rain, her strength failing her. But just before she hits the pavement, a familiar face appears through the storm. It's Su Runyu, and he's got a creepy smile as he tells her he's there for her. Back at the mansion, Wanwen drops a bombshell. She's marrying Su Runyu. Her friend is absolutely livid, shouting, "No way, you can't marry him." She tries to explain that Zijin was framed and that Runyu has been pulling the strings all along. "He was the one who sent those bandits to abduct you." She screams, revealing that Runyu is the true villain. Wanwen is paralyzed with shock, her teacup shattering on the floor. Her friend begs her to reconsider, but Wanwen is in a daze, needing to process the betrayal. Even though she's shaking, Wanwen decides she has to confront Runyu herself. Over at the Su mansion, Runyu is acting like a total creep, writing Wanwen's name over and over. He's obsessed, whispering about having her all to himself. When she walks in, he acts all innocent, inviting her to ask him anything. She doesn't hold back, asking if he planned the kidnapping. When she asks about Zijin, his fake smile vanishes. "Why do you like him so much?" He snarls, his face darkening with rage. He drops the act and admits to everything, claiming they were meant to be since childhood. He grabs her, declaring they are getting married whether she likes it or not. Wanwen is crying, realizing the family she trusted is a monster. He pins her chin, admitting his jealousy almost drove him crazy. She pushes him away, screaming that he isn't the man she knew. She calls off the wedding and vows to never see him again. But as she turns to leave, his inner Yandere fully snaps. He lunges at her, pinning her against the wall. "You can never go back to him as long as I make you mine," he hisses. Our girl is terrified as he starts to force himself on her, ignoring her screams for him to stop. Wanwen is in a desperate struggle, her clothes tearing as she tries to fight off her captor. Su Runyu looms over her, his obsession turning dark and twisted. "If you dare touch me again, I'll kill myself." Our girl screams, her eyes filled with a terrifying resolve. Runyu just smirks, asking if she's really trying to threaten him, but for a second you can see the flicker of hesitation in his eyes. She lies there, broken but defiant, as the weight of her situation sinks in. Runyu finally pulls back, but not before delivering a chilling promise. "Fine, I won't touch you until our wedding night," he says, before leaning in to lick her skin in the most skin-crawling way possible. Meanwhile, Zijin is losing his mind with worry. He slams his hand against the table, declaring he'll do anything to stop Runyu's schemes. Miss Shui watches him, her heart breaking for the pain he's in. She finally spills the beans, telling him that Wanwen went to confront Renyu alone and is being bullied right now. Zijin's face goes pale with rage. He grabs Miss Shui's hand, his grip trembling with fury. Sue's mansion, I'll get Wanwen out of there, he growls, turning on his heel. He's ready to burn the whole world down, muttering that if Renyu dares to hurt a hair on her head, he'll make the man's life a living hell. They reach the mansion and Zijin doesn't bother knocking. He kicks the door down with pure main character energy. Let her go, he bellows, eyes flashing with murderous intent. Renyu is stunned, demanding to know how Zijin dared to break into his home. But Zijin's heart stops when he sees Wanwen on the bed, looking absolutely devastated. Zijin immediately orders the others to take Wanwen to safety. He looks at her torn clothes and the ropes, his heart shattering into a million pieces. Renyu, being the ultimate trash bag, decides to twist the knife. Even though you can take her now, I've already made her mine, he sneers. Ignoring the villain's lies, Zijin carries her away to a safe house. He gently sets her down, but Wanwen is confused and hurting. That's when Zijin drops the shield and confesses everything. I've already thought about this, Wanwen. I still love you, he whispers. He pulls her into a tight embrace, desperate to never let go again. Wanwen tears up, admitting she knows all the horrible things her father and Renyu did to him. She wants to atone for their sins, but Zijin won't hear it. He reminds her of the promise they once made to marry after he achieved success. I was desperate to tell you I could finally hold a grand wedding for you, he says, tears streaming down his face. The atmosphere shifts as Wanwen reaches out to cup his face. I'd love to, she whispers, throwing herself into his arms. He warns her that she might regret this, but our girl is done running. I'll never regret anything I've done for you, she says firmly. They share a passionate kiss, finally surrendering to the love they've fought so hard for. As the sun rises, the reality of their situation returns. Goodbye, Zijin, she thinks, unable to truly hate her father or leave him to suffer alone. She sneaks out of the room, determined to put an end to this cycle of pain once and for all. She returns to the Su mansion, where Renyu is waiting like a vulture. He grabs her roughly, demanding to know what she did last night. Do you still remember today is our wedding? He screams, his eyes landing on a faint mark on her neck. Wanwen doesn't flinch. She looks him in the eye and asks, do you still want to marry me now? Renyu is livid, threatening to keep her father in prison forever if she runs again. With a cold, dead stare, she finally submits. Okay, I'll marry you. Back at the safe house, Zijin wakes up to find a letter. His hands shake as he reads her final words. Forget me from now on. Hope I can end all of this with my life. He crushes the paper, his eyes burning with a new kind of desperation. This is not gonna happen, he vows. In town, the wedding festivities are in full swing. Miss Shui is munching on candy, convinced that Zijin and Wanwen are finally together and she'll get her happy ending too. But as she listens to the gossip of the townspeople, her blood runs cold. They're talking about a grand wedding at the Su mansion, but the name of the bride isn't one. The bride is Miss Liu, they cheer. Miss Shui freezes, the candy falling from her hand as she gasps, what? The wedding bells are ringing, but they sound more like a death knell for our poor heroine. Su Renyu leads the procession on his high horse, soaking in the cheers of the crowd who think they're witnessing the perfect match. But inside that carriage, Wanwen is a mess of tears and regrets, realizing she'll never see her true love, Zijin, ever again. Our girl Shui is watching from the crowd, sensing the heavy tension in the air. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the celebration like a knife. Su Renyu, where do you think you're taking my girl? It's Tang Zijin, looking like a silver-haired god of vengeance as he blocks the path. Renyu's face twists in fury as he reminds Zijin that this is his wedding day, but Zijin isn't backing down an inch, claiming they were engaged long ago. Shut up, Renyu screams, accusing Zijin of constantly sabotaging their relationship. He's done playing games and orders his men to haul Zijin off to the officials. Stop, a voice cries out, and the world seems to stand still as Wanwen lifts her veil, her face streaked with tears. She begs Renyu to let him go, but the groom's heart has turned to stone. Seeing no other way out of this nightmare, Wanwen whispers an apology, pulls out a small vial, and downs the contents before anyone can react. Maybe everything can be over as long as I die, she thinks as she collapses. Panic erupts as her body hits the pavement. Zijin screams her name in pure agony, and even Renyu looks like his world is ending as he tries to scoop her up. Shui rushes to her side, but the diagnosis is devastating. The poison has already reached her heart. Renyu stands frozen, the realization hitting him like a physical blow. She would literally rather die than spend a single night as his wife. Zijin tries to reach for her, but Jiumu shoves him back with a cold, don't touch her. As Wanwen's life fades, she turns to Shui with a heartbreaking smile. I hope I can still be your friend in my next life, she whispers. Her final, tearful gaze lingers on Zijin, wishing that in another world she could have married him desperately. Just as her spirit begins to drift away, a surge of mystical energy wraps around her. A mysterious spiritual force is transfused into her body, blocking the poison's path just long enough for a chance at survival. Jiumu takes charge, telling the heartbroken men that if they want her to live, they need to get her to his mansion immediately. Later, Master Bai delivers the news. She's alive, but she's as fragile as glass. Outside her room, the truth finally comes out. A guilt-ridden Runyu grabs Zijin and confesses everything. He was the one who orchestrated the humiliation and the pain, not Wanwen. In a shocking display of remorse, the proud Runyu drops to his knees, begging Zijin to take his revenge on him and leave the innocent Wanwen out of their war. When Wanwen finally wakes up, the room is filled with a heavy silence. After a tearful hug from Shui, Wanwen looks at the two men who nearly destroyed her. She tells Zijin that she only risked her life so he would finally let go of his hatred. Seeing the lengths she went to, Zijin finally breaks. "You win," he admits, his voice hollow. He promises to forget the past, but only if she leads a happy life. With one last look at his first love, he turns and walks away. "Farewell, my boy," she whispers, a single tear falling as a magical glow begins to consume the room. "Feng Yu Heng, our girl screams as a strange power suddenly surges through her. The Duke's eyes narrow, sensing the massive shift in her spiritual energy. He sweeps her up into his arms, but the onlookers are already whispering, "Is there a tail on Shui?" He rushes her away to safety, his boots hitting the floor with a heavy patter. Suddenly, a bright celestial light envelops her entire body. FZZT, in a puff of spiritual energy, a pair of fluffy fox ears pop right out of her head. She isn't even scared, she's thrilled. "Look, Feng Jiumu, I've got my third tail back." She cheers, wagging her new floof with pride. He's blushing like a schoolboy, but our girl suddenly realizes something is very wrong. "Why does it suddenly feel chilly down there?" she asks, before looking down and realizing her clothes didn't survive the transformation. "You perv," she screams, sending the poor guy flying as she retreats in a total panic. He's left standing there, completely dazed and wondering what just happened to his life. Fast forward 2 months, and the cherry blossoms are in full bloom across the empire. It's a tearful goodbye as Zijin prepares to head out on his journey. He looks back one last time, certain she won't show up to say goodbye. But our heroine is right there, waving her heart out. "Take care, Zijin," she shouts, promising to never forget him. She's a sobbing mess, but her friend reminds her that this separation is for the best. Meanwhile, a mysterious girl in purple watches the departure from the shadows of the gate. Zijin catches a glimpse of someone and wonders if his eyes are playing tricks on him. He rides off into the distance, leaving the city behind as petals drift in the wind. The purple-clad girl watches him go, her expression unreadable. Back in the bustling city, our girl is trying to put on a brave face. "All good things must come to an end," she sighs. But her melancholy is interrupted by a massive clamor in the streets. A group of rowdy men are shouting about a beauty and a divine cub. "It's a divine cub," one drunkard yells, grabbing another by the collar in his excitement. Our girl freezes in her tracks. "Who is calling me? Has anyone figured out my real identity?" she wonders, sweating bullets. The argument turns into a full-blown brawl right in the middle of the road. "Watch out, Miss Shui," her guard King Lun shouts, stepping in to protect her from the flying bodies. These idiots are convinced there's a legendary beast on Lingshan Mountain, and one guy is even bragging about dating her. "Her body was amazing, it drove me crazy." He lies, making everyone around him blush with his nonsense. King Lun is absolutely fuming. "How dare they insult you? I'll teach them a lesson," she snarls, reaching for her blade. But our girl stops her just in time. "Calm down, we can take advantage of them. They might provide a clue about how to cure Feng Jiumu's disease." King Lun isn't convinced these drunks know anything. "Really?" she asks, looking at the morons fighting in the dirt. The men keep punching each other's lights out, dreaming of catching the cub and getting rich. "A treasure, I've got one," a smooth, dangerous voice whispers right into our heroine's ear. She spins around to find a red-haired man looming over her with a predatory smirk. "It's you again," she hisses while King Lun desperately tells her to run. But it's too late, he's already using his spiritual power to bind her in place. "What do you want?" she demands, struggling against the glowing energy rope around her waist. With a sharp pull, he drags her toward him. He leans in close, his voice dripping with charm. "I'm going to the north, will you come with me, sweetheart?" "No, I can't," she yells, trying to push him away. "I'm in a relationship with Feng Jiumu," she declares, hoping that will make him back off. She goes into full loyal girlfriend mode, insisting she would never cheat on her partner. "So forget about it, I won't cheat on Feng Jiumu," she shouts. The red-haired man just scoffs at her loyalty. He drops a bombshell, claiming Feng Jiumu only treats her well because she has the earth spirit. "He's just taking advantage of your feelings to get rid of ice soul poison, poor girl," he sneers. Our girl is shook, but she won't let him win. "Don't you say another word, I know him better than anyone else," she screams. He puts a finger to his lips, silencing her. Let's make a bet. "I bet you will come to find me in the north sooner or later," he says, his body dissolving into a cloud of red butterflies. "I'll wait for you there, sweetheart." His voice echoes as he vanishes into thin air. The magic fades, leaving the street empty once more. Our girl is left holding her friend and flipping off the empty air. "Screw you, get away from me," she screams at the top of her lungs. Our girl finally puts the pieces together, realizing that while Lian Sheng might be a total bluffer, he was spot on about one thing. Feng Jiumu is only keeping her around because she's the one who gobbled up that precious earth spirit. She knows he's treating her well for now, but in this world, now can turn into never real quick, so she sneaks into the archives to find a way out of this mess. Her plans figure out if there's a divine cub hidden somewhere on Lingshan Mountain. She starts tearing through the library, hoping to find another earth spirit to secure her safety. She hits the jackpot when she finds a text describing a magic herb that can cure any disease, appearing whenever a divine cub is on Earth. "I'm going to find that herb," she declares, fueling her tiny but mighty determination to survive. Checking the coast, she sees the guards are slacking on their shift, perfect timing for a midnight escape. Under the glow of a massive full moon, our heroine sprints toward the mysterious Lingshan Mountain. By the time she reaches the woods, she's absolutely winded, wishing she'd brought some backup for this cardio session. Suddenly, a loud splash echoes through the trees, making her freeze. Peeking through the bushes, she's shocked to find someone taking a midnight dip in the middle of nowhere. But this isn't just some random swimmer. The stranger senses her presence immediately and demands to know who's watching. Before our girl can even process the situation, a massive wave of water blasts toward her, nearly taking her head off. "Stop, I'm not going to hurt you," she screams, shielding herself from the watery assault. The stranger, a stunning woman with flowing white hair, eyes her suspiciously and demands an identity check. Ever the gentleman lady, our girl quickly grabs a robe and tosses it over the girl, blushing hard as she scolds her for being so careless in the dangerous woods. She tries to play it cool, explaining she's just there to gather some herbs. The beauty isn't buying it for a second, asking since when people go mountain climbing for weeds at midnight. Our girl starts sweating bullets, stuttering out a lie about wanting to get there before anyone else beats her to it. The white-haired woman leans in close, her gaze turning sharp as she asks, "Is that so?" She isn't looking at our girl's eyes, though. She's noticed a specific mark hidden behind her ear. Suddenly, the beauty pins our heroine against a tree, making her heart do backflips. She reaches out to touch the mark, her expression shifting from suspicion to pure shock. It's you," she gasps, looking like she's just seen a miracle. Before our girl can even ask what's going on, she's pulled into a desperate hug. We get a glimpse into the beauty's tragic past, where she was branded a monster since childhood and chased away by villagers. An old immortal once told her that her life was doomed unless she found one specific person. She spent 10 long years traveling the world, searching for the master who would save her. "I've been looking for you for 10 years, she whispers, clinging to our confused hero. The beauty officially declares our girl her master, but our heroine is internally screaming. "You have the wrong person, I'm just here for the herbs." She insists, trying to push the girl away, but the beauty is convinced. The immortal told her the first person she met tonight would be her savior. Our girl thinks this immortal sounds like a total fraud, but she can't help but feel bad for the girl. Seeing how lonely and desperate she is, our heroine decides that having a beautiful companion might not be the worst thing in the world. They decide to head up the mountain together, with the beauty eagerly agreeing to follow her anywhere. She clings to our girl's arm with a giant smile, looking like the happiest person on earth. Our heroine sighs, thinking this poor girl clearly has some mental issues, but she's too nice to leave her behind. "You can stay with me for now," she says, even as the beauty grabs her hand and refuses to let go. Meanwhile, back at the palace, the sun is rising and Feng Yu is getting ready for the day. He looks as stoic as ever, but his morning routine is interrupted by a frantic attendant. "Your Highness, bad news," the man screams, bursting into the room. Feng Yu's eyes narrow as he asks what could possibly be wrong. He's handed a letter and his face goes pale when he realizes Miss Shui is gone. He reads the note, which has a cute little drawing of her on it, explaining that she went to Lingshan Mountain to find a cure for him. Instead of being touched, Feng Yu is absolutely livid, crushing the paper in his fist. "How dare she leave without telling me?" He roars, his aura turning terrifyingly cold. He orders his men to saddle his horse immediately, intending to hunt her down. As he storms out, he vows to teach her a lesson she'll never forget for running off on her own. Bandits from the Fudu and Dadao gangs are out here causing absolute chaos, and the poor locals are literally running for their lives. One gang leader is flexing his massive axe, while the other thinks he's the main character, mocking the weak guys for trying to claim the divine cub all for themselves. But the trash-talking stops dead when a group just casually strolls into the middle of their war zone. The bandits' eyes nearly pop out of their heads because, hey, these two girls are apparently so hot. They see the silver-haired guy in charge and think they've hit the jackpot. "Give me all your money and those two girls and I'll spare you," one bandit screams, clearly having a massive death wish. Our guy Feng Yu just stands there, his face shadowed with pure "you're already dead" energy. Before the bandits can even blink, asterisk whoosh asterisk, he moves. In a literal flash, the entire gang is sent flying like Team Rocket. His attendants barely break a sweat, reporting that they've successfully cleared the path. Feng Yu doesn't even look back, simply commanding the group to head to Lingshan Mountain. As they start the long climb up the stairs, we cut to our poor heroine who is absolutely struggling. "Ah," she screams, her soul basically leaving her body from pure exhaustion. She's desperate to find that magic herb, but she's running on empty. Her new friend Liuya offers to help find it, but our girl is so done she might as well be a ghost. Liuya looks at her, wondering if this normal girl is actually the right person to help her survive. She decides to test her luck. Master, look at my eyes, she whispers. Liu leans in close, trying to work some charm magic. Her eyes glow a predatory purple as she tries to bind our girl to her will. But our girl, she's a total airhead. Your eyes are purple, I didn't find out until I just took a close look, she shouts, completely ruining the vibe. Liu is shook. How did her magic fail so miserably? When our girl asks what she just said, Liu starts sweating bullets. Thinking fast to hide her secret, she lunges forward and gives our heroine a massive hug, claiming she just wanted to say she'd never abandon her master. Our girl just laughs it off, saying purple eyes are totally common. She starts listing off all the weird eye colors she's seen like she's reading a crayon box. Liu leans in for another hug. Suddenly, Liu is looking way too satisfied while licking her finger. She's giving off major predator vibes, leaving our girl looking totally confused. Liu is internally screaming because even sucking blood isn't working to fix her problem. But the awkward moment is interrupted by a thunderous pei shui. It's Feng Yu and he looks like he's about to commit a crime. He sees them in that suggestive pose and demands to know if this is how she's finding the herb to cure him. Our girl panics, waving her hands around while trying to explain. She quickly lies, saying Liu is just a girl with memory loss she picked up as a companion. The attendants aren't buying it for a second. Liu decides to double down on the drama, clinging to our girl's arm, and giving Feng Yu a smug, blushing look. Feng Yu isn't playing these games. He grabs our girl and pulls her back. Didn't she tell you I was her master? He growls. Liu, the master of chaos, just smiles. In that case, I'll serve you as well. Our girl's jealousy meter hits 100 instantly. No way, he is mine. Nobody can get him away from me, she screams. Liu keeps up the act, acting all sweet and in love. But Feng Yu has zero patience for this. He blasts her back with a wave of blue energy, telling her not to cross the line. Our girl is horrified that he'd be so cruel to a girl. Liu hits the ground, looking genuinely defeated. Our girl immediately jumps to her defense, begging him to spare her because she's just a homeless girl with mental problems. Liu realizes she's outmatched and decides she needs to be more prudent. That night, as they camp by a lake, Liu sits by the fire staring into the flames. I'm running out of time, she whispers, her eyes glowing with desperation. She looks over at our sleeping heroine, refusing to give up on her survival. She creeps toward our girl's sleeping form, standing over her with a dark expression. I want to live a normal life, she says. She reaches out, her sharp nails heading straight for our girl, convinced that enough blood will save her. But asterisk boom asterisk, Feng Yu is there in a flash, intercepting the attack. He holds our sleeping girl close, whispering, silly girl, you have saved someone who is trying to kill you. He glares at Liu, calling out her tricks to gain trust. What are you up to? He demands, his voice cold as ice. Liu tries to play innocent, but as Feng Yu powers up his blue flames, she realizes she's in deep trouble. She tries one last pathetic excuse about just wanting to cover her master with clothes. But Feng Yu isn't an idiot. He lunges forward and grabs her by the throat. You really expect me to believe that? He snarls, and it looks like Liu's luck has finally run out. A low rumbling shakes the forest as the atmosphere grows heavy. Our girl is feeling the weight of the moment, looking into the eyes of her protector and promising that from now on, she'll stay by his side every single second. Feng Yu, ever the stoic hunk, simply gives a cool okay while keeping a firm grip on her. Meanwhile, Liu is in the background absolutely struggling, panting as she realizes Feng's power is on a whole different level. She knows she has zero chance of getting close to our heroine as long as that man is acting like a human shield. Liu puts on her best I'm a fragile flower act, claiming she's fine while secretly plotting how to tear them apart. Feng isn't falling for the waterworks though. Don't waste time, he commands, urging them to get back to the mission of finding the herbs. He thinks to himself that our girl is way too naive for her own good, but he's willing to let the witch tag along just to see what kind of trap she's trying to set. They soon stumble upon a massive crowd of warriors all gathered for one thing, the hunt for the divine cub. Liu starts sweating, wondering if her cover is blown and if they can sense who she really is. But our sweet heroine is too busy worrying about her friend, grabbing Liu's hand so she doesn't get lost in the sea of people. The crowd is getting rowdy, shouting about how they need the blood of the witch Liu to lure the cub out of hiding. The leader of the mob offers a massive reward for anyone who catches her, making the situation go from bad to worse. Our girl is disgusted, muttering that if a divine cub needs blood to appear, it sounds more like a monster than a deity. A random guy in the crowd snaps back, don't talk nonsense. Drinking blood is normal for superior beings. The mob's eyes suddenly lock onto them and the leader screams. The one behind her is the witch Liu. Realizing they're about to be swarmed, they make a run for it, but they end up trapped at the edge of a jagged cliff. Our girl is gasping for air, hoping they finally lost those lunatics, but Feng knows the danger is far from over. A rustle in the trees confirms his fears, as the mob leaps out with swords drawn, screaming for them to hand over the girl. Even with blades pointed at her, our girl stands her ground, shielding Liu with her own body. I will never let her go with you monsters. She yells. Liu is genuinely shook. She can't believe this girl is actually risking her life to protect her. She wonders if it's some kind of elaborate trick, but the sincerity in our heroine's eyes is hard to ignore. The mob loses patience and charges in for the kill. Swords clash in a flurry of sparks as they fight to hold the line. In the middle of the chaos, our girl holds Liu's hand tight, promising that she won't let anyone hurt her. Liu finally lets her guard down, whispering, "I trust you, master." But the victory is short-lived because the cliff beneath them starts to crumble. Feng Yu, help! She screams as she loses her footing and plunges into the abyss. Feng desperately reaches out, but before he can grab her, creepy black vines shoot out of the darkness and wrap around the girls like snakes. They're dragged down into a hidden cavern where the divine cub is said to dwell. Feng is left at the top, shouting in agony as he realizes they've been snatched away. Our girl hits the ground with a painful thud. "Ouch, my butt," she whines, rubbing her sore spots. She finds herself alone in a terrifying cave filled with glowing vines, frantically calling out for Liu and Feng. A strange puff sound echoes through the chamber, and she spins around to see a massive demonic shadow with glowing red eyes looming over her. She's absolutely terrified, tears welling up as she begs for Feng to save her, but then she finds her inner girl boss and decides she's not going down without a fight. She swings blindly at the monster, only to hear a tiny, high-pitched "A." The terrifying shadow vanishes, revealing a round, fluffy white fox rubbing its head in pain. "You hit me so hard." The little guy grumbles, looking totally dazed. Our girl realizes she just beat up a cute little animal and immediately feels guilty, explaining that he just scared the life out of her. The fox looks up at her with big, sparkling eyes. And before she can react, the little fluffball jumps up and shouts, "I want a kiss." Our girl is absolutely stunned to find that the fluffy little creature she's holding has not one, but 9 tails. It looks so adorable and harmless that she can't imagine it ever hurting anyone, but she's about to be proven wrong. Suddenly, the entire cave begins to rumble and collapse. Through the dust, a woman in red comes charging toward her, shouting for her to run. But it's too late. A massive, terrifying serpent lunges from the shadows. Before our girl can react, the beast coils itself tightly around the newcomer, Liu. Our heroine knows she can't just stand by and watch this monster have its way. While she prepares to fight, the little fox looks on, frustrated that its powers haven't fully returned. The giant snake towers over its prey, surrounded by the bones of its previous victims. Our girl shouts, "Monster, how dare you," as she leaps into the fray. She delivers a powerful punch, but the impact only makes a dull thud against the scales. She's horrified to find her attack didn't leave a single scratch on the creature's iron-hard hide. Liu stares in disbelief, wondering if our girl is actually trying to save her. The snake hisses with delight, "One more girl, good, I will have a feast today." It swings its massive tail with lethal intent. The ground shatters under the force of the blow, but our heroine narrowly avoids the strike. As she catches her breath, she realizes she's in way over her head. Suddenly, the little fox decides it's had enough of this overgrown worm. With a single lightning-fast kick, the tiny cub sends the massive snake's head reeling. The monster is blasted back with a deafening boom. Now sporting a massive bump on its head, the snake begins to weep, apologizing because it didn't realize the girl was the fox's sister. Our girl rushes to Liu's side, making sure she's okay. She realizes this is the legendary divine cub and immediately pleads with it to let them go. She's so dramatic about it that the fox can only wonder why she doesn't recognize him. Our heroine pauses as the fox grabs her attention. It points its paw toward a glowing, magical plant nearby. It's the earth spirit. She's overjoyed until a familiar voice calls out, "Feng Yu, this way." It's her man, and he pulls her into a protective embrace, asking if she's hurt. She assures him she's fine, though the fox and the snake look on with very mixed feelings. The man's eyes narrow as he spots the 9-tailed fox, and the fox is equally annoyed to see history repeating itself. Our girl excitedly shows him the earth spirit, while Liu asks if they can finally pick it. The man glares at the fox, demanding to know if it's the one who kidnapped her. The fox hisses back, clearly harboring some serious ancient grudges against him. The man doesn't care if it's a divine beast. He summons magical chains to punish it for touching his girl. The poor fox is instantly bound, and our girl panics, thinking he's going to kill the little guy. She jumps in to stop him, reminding him that the fox actually saved her life. She throws her arms around him, explaining that they should thank the creature for leading them to the earth spirit. He looks at her, his icy resolve finally melting as he asks, "Really?" He agrees to spare the creature, much to the fox's continued annoyance. They finally secure the earth spirit, and our girl couldn't be happier. She's finally free from being used as a human drug for his treatment. The guards arrive to secure the area as the man prepares to leave. He sweeps her up into his arms, ordering his subordinates to take care of Liu and the fox. He flies off into the night with our heroines, leaving the others behind. Liu watches them go, vowing that in this life, she will never let her friend fight her battles alone. The next evening at the mansion, our girl is having a heart-to-heart with Liu. Liu acts all sweet, asking for a tour of the capital city, but she's clearly hiding a secret agenda. Our heroine agrees to a girl's day out tomorrow, totally unaware of the shadow looming over them. Suddenly, a crow's cry shatters the peace and Liu's face goes deathly pale. She looks like she's seen a ghost, whispering that he is finally here as her composure completely crumbles. She makes a quick excuse about being tired and bolts for her room. But our little fox Jiu isn't buying this act for a second. He knows this half-monster is up to no good and watches her every move. Deep in the shadows of the balcony, a mysterious cloaked figure confronts Liu, complaining that she's taking way too long with her mission. Liu tries to play it cool, calling him my lord and claiming the target is just too tricky to handle. The lord isn't having it. He grabs her chin, mocking her for struggling with a weak girl. He accuses her of stalling on purpose and orders her to lure our heroine out immediately. He's done being patient and sends a clear, violent message. He strikes her down without a second thought. He reminds her that his highness is waiting, but Liu is desperate. She's on her knees pleading, but the Lord threatens to take matters into his own hands if she doesn't obey. That's when our heroine walks in, asking Liu what's wrong. Liu is coughing up blood, screaming for her to run. But the cloaked man just smirks, saying she isn't going anywhere. Our girl isn't a damsel in distress, though. She points a finger and demands to know who dares to break into the mansion and make trouble. The man attacks, and Liu throws herself in the way to protect her friend. Seeing Liu hurt, our girl stands her ground. I won't let you take her away, she shouts. The man reveals some nasty-looking claws, but our heroine calls for her backup. Just as he's about to strike, her guard King Luan leaps in with a sword, blocking the blow in the nick of time. The guards surround the intruder, promising he'll be slain for this trespass. The man realizes he's outnumbered and decides to bounce, promising they'll catch up later. He vanishes over the rooftops like a bad omen. Our girl rushes to Liu, who is in a bad way and coughing up an alarming amount of blood. But as she fades, a glowing blue tail suddenly appears. Our heroine freezes in total shock. She has my tail, she gasps. She pushes everyone away and locks herself in her room. It turns out that Lord Rat drugged her with a potent filter to force her hand. Our girl is pounding on the door, worried sick, but Liu is inside fighting for her life and her sanity. The drug is taking hold and she's losing control of her senses. Worried she'll die, our heroine decides she has no choice and breaks in. She bursts through the doors, but Liu is already waiting. Her eyes are glowing with a feral hunger as she grabs our girl. Before she can even blink, our heroine is pinned to the bed. Liu is acting totally out of character, pinning her down and demanding she listen. But then the ultimate shocker hits. Our girl feels something she definitely didn't expect. Why you're a man? She stammers. The person formerly known as Liu just smirks. Well, you guessed wrong. As punishment, why don't you offer me a little help? Our heroine calls him a bastard. But before things get too heated, Jiu the fox launches a surprise attack. He tackles the imposter, screaming for him to stay away. I knew you were plotting something, he yells, ready to tear the man apart. Our girl pulls the angry fox back, reminding him that this guy was a victim of the drug too. She's actually considering finding him a partner to help clear the filter. Jiu is absolutely disgusted by the idea and tells her to leave it to him. He prepares a much less romantic cure, a big bowl of water, and tells the guy to spit. In a world full of schemes, our girl decides to take a different path, telling Liu that from now on she'll be her friend. Liu is stunned, barely whispering back the word friend as she processes this sudden kindness. Our heroine shrugs it off, telling her it's only if she actually wants to be. As Liu lies in bed, she starts to wonder if maybe, just maybe, she can actually trust her. But there's no time for a cozy tea party because a guard rushes in with bad news. The assassin was too fast, and they've lost his trail. Our girl doesn't miss a beat, ordering the guards to step up patrols immediately in case the killer decides to pull a round two. Her mind is racing, worrying about Feng Yu. Is he the real target? She tries to leave to check on him, but Liu grabs her hand with a desperate grip, begging her not to go and to stay by her side. Our heroine is clearly frustrated, but she sighs and agrees to stay if it means Liu will finally close her eyes and rest. Still, she has a nasty hunch that getting her tail back isn't going to be a walk in the park. Fast forward 3 days, and the tension is at a breaking point as our girl asks if Feng Jumu's treatment is finally finishing. The attendant, King Luan, explains that today is the final day for His Highness to absorb the Earth Spirit. Finally, the doors swing open and Feng Jumu emerges looking like a total snack, but the mood is anything but sweet. Our girl rushes up, desperate to know if the poison is finally gone. But Feng Jumu just looks away, his voice cold as he reveals that it's too late. The Earth Spirit is useless now. The healer, Master Bai, grumbles that if the prince had just been ruthless enough to kill that cub, he would have been cured instantly. King Luan loses it, shouting that they should have just slaughtered the creature and tossed it into the potion. Hearing this, our poor heroine is hit with a wave of soul-crushing guilt, realizing he's still dying because she accidentally ate the Earth Spirit herself. She starts to break down in tears, sobbing that she didn't mean to do it. But Feng Jumu isn't having the pity party. Shut up, he commands, and listen to me. He grabs her chin, looks her dead in the eye, and drops a bombshell. He wants to marry her. Our girl's brain practically short-circuits as she screams internally, "Ah, he's proposing to me." When he asks if she doesn't want to, she practically trips over her own feet shouting, I do, I'm just too excited to say yes. He actually lets out a little titter which earns him a pouty don't laugh at me from our heroine. He pulls her into a massive hug, promising to pick the luckiest day possible to marry her as soon as humanly possible. As they share a romantic embrace, our girl realizes that maybe he's the entire reason she was brought into this world. Feng Jumu, I love you, she whispers before they land in for a spicy, high-stakes kiss. The guards in attendance are literally dying of secondhand embarrassment, covering their eyes while these two make out in the courtyard. But while they're celebrating their happily ever after, a storm is brewing in the shadows. Liu is watching from behind a wall, her eyes filled with tears and pure, unadulterated rage. You promised to protect me and stay with me forever, she seethes, calling them all liars as she literally claws at the stone wall in fury. Suddenly, a mysterious white fox appears out of thin air, calling her name. The fox tells her to meet in the backyard if she wants a way out of this misery. Liu follows the summons, finding the multi-tailed spirit waiting for her on a rock. She demands to know what it wants, and the fox gets straight to the point. Did you see that kiss? Liu admits she's heartbroken but feels powerless to break them up. That's when the fox drops a devilish suggestion. If she loves Shui that much, why not just take her away from the prince? Liu points out that Feng Jiumu is way too powerful for her to challenge, but the fox just smirks. It offers to give her the power to level up her enchantments so she can alienate the two lovers. The plan is simple, break Shui's heart so she has no choice but to leave with Liu. Desperate and fueled by jealousy, Liu agrees, saying, I'm in, I will take her away. The fox pours its dark energy into her, and in a massive whoosh of power, Liu is transformed, with ghostly fox tails manifesting behind her. With her new villain arc officially unlocked, she vows that she will never let that jerk Feng Jumu hurt her precious Shui again. Our silver-haired schemer is lurking in the shadows, praying that her little divine cub lure will finally bring Shui into her trap. She's ready to make her move, sliding up to the man of the hour with a soft, Your Highness. Using a bit of magical deception, she shifts her appearance to look like our sweet heroine, blushing as she whispers, Your Highness. She leans in close, her voice a sultry purr as she asks, Let me help you, okay? They're inches apart, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. But our guy isn't a total fool. He catches her arm and her eyes go wide as she stammers, Your Highness, WH, what are you doing? His gaze is cold enough to freeze the room as he growls, You tell me. With a literal bang, he unleashes his power. He stands his ground, looking absolutely lethal. How dare you pass yourself off as Shui? He demands, his voice dripping with venom. The silver-haired woman is sent flying, crashing to the floor in shock that her divine cub's power didn't fool him for a second. He's done playing games and threatens to kill her right then and there, but she's got one card left to play. Spitting blood, she wheezes, If you do, Shui will never forgive you. This girl has some nerves. Threaten me, you're not helping yourself. He snarls, preparing to finish the job. He blasts her with a wave of energy that leaves her broken on the ground. Bleeding and defeated, she can only hope her backup arrives soon. Meanwhile, our actual girl, Shui, is back at the palace living in a totally different genre. She's blushing up a storm thinking, I didn't know kisses could be that sweet. Ah, so embarrassing. She's literally rolling around on her bed like a love-struck teenager when her maid bursts in, screaming that something has gone horribly wrong. The maid drops a bombshell. His Highness has captured Liu to lure out the divine cub because he wants to use it for his medicine. Shui's heart drops. How come? Hurry, take me to find them, she cries. She sprints through the palace, her mind racing as she calls out for Feng Jiumu and Liu. She bursts through the doors, finding the divine cub huddled on the floor. He's mid-attack when he realizes who just jumped in front of him. No, she screams, shielding the others. Feng Jiumu barely manages to stop his power in time, his face etched with worry. Did I hurt you? He asks. He tries to explain himself, pointing at the intruder and saying, We have to kick her out. She even dares to seduce me. But the silver-haired woman isn't going down without sowing some discord. Master, leave him, he doesn't love you at all, this is his trap. She yells, claiming he's only using Shui to get the cub and cure his own poison. Feng Jiumu has reached his limit. You ask for this, he roars, drawing his blade with a deadly shimmer. As Shui screams for him to stop, but the sword finds its mark and blood spatters the floor. Suddenly, Feng Jiumu staggers, clutching his chest in agony. The poison it attacks, he gasps before collapsing. The room descends into pure panic as they call for Master Bai. The diagnosis is grim. Without the earth spirit, there's no way to suppress the poison eating him alive. Shui looks down at her hands, the realization hitting her like a freight train. The last earth spirit is inside her body. She looks at his pale, unconscious face, her heart breaking. Is that true? He did all these things just to kill me for curing himself? She wonders. Despite the doubts, she can't let him die. Get out. I know how to suppress his poison, she tells the others coldly. Once they're alone, the tears start to fall. He just proposed to her this morning, and now she's wondering if his love was ever real or just a calculated move. Well, it doesn't matter, she whispers. She reaches out, gently cupping his face. She leans down for one final, bittersweet kiss. Now that you're awake, I'll give the earth spirit to you right now, she thinks. She doesn't hesitate, cutting her own hand to transfer the power. But she's already done it. I ate your earth spirit, I'll give it back with my blood. Now we're even, she says, her voice devoid of its usual warmth. No, I don't allow you to do so, he cries, but he's too weak to move. Shui turns her back on him, her decision made. Feng Jiumu, maybe this is not the right time for us to get married. If we're destined to be together, I will see you again. He reaches out a trembling hand as she walks away, a single tear escaping as he whispers, Shui, don't leave me. But she's already gone, walking out of the mansion and into the cold night. Her companion asks where they are headed now. Shui looks up at the moon, her expression unreadable. To the north, she replies. They disappear into the shadows of the mountains, leaving everything behind. Farewell, Feng Jiumu, she whispers to the wind, ending this chapter of her life.